So that's it. There we go. So now, hey, good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us. The sun is shining, but it's still cool. I went for a little walk in the morning. It's cool. So we have some time to make it warm up, and then we can have a special day. This is the third session of the SDA, the share, and we have one more. And the last one will be live, guys. It's going to be live, and it's September 9th. And we have Christian Mazzuca, Lisa Coffin, and Dr. David Clark on. He's going to speak to us on clinical oral pathology review for denturists. So this completes the year for SDA. However, I want to remind you that you guys, that both ADTO members and DAO members, are always invited to the Toronto Implant Academy, the TIA, and we have some very good lectures coming up. One is on May the 24th. Alex, you're involved. And just like we invite, I think I mentioned last week, guys, that there is a lot of interest from the dentists in what's going on in the removable world and what's happening on materials. They want to know too. They look forward to the technicians and the denturists to guide them, but they also want to know. So they asked me last year when we were planning the Toronto Implant Academy if I could bring some of these lectures. So I was very lucky that Alex agreed, okay, and Milan Jovanovic agreed, and then Mark Chan agreed later on for the TIA. So look at your schedule. The next TIA is May the 24th. It's an evening session, and you guys are all invited. We're going to remind you, you know, that the ADTO members get invited by Veronica. And the DAO members they will receive the invites from Yolanda. And then, you know, like, I mean, the DAO, we create the certificates and they send them to you. And with the denturists, we send them directly. Okay, we have this thing. And keep in mind that it's your association that are paying for this thing. They have a bundle, they've negotiated a bundle package, and everything is just, it's working very well. It's working so well. You know, like after this TIA, the next TIA is June the 23rd, and we have three excellent speakers. We have Scott McLean, who's a KOL for Nobel worldwide, and Nobel is a new implant, so he's going to present with his new implant. And then we have Bobby Bagg and the maxillofacial surgeon Dan Hoy, and already we have about 62 DAO member registered. So they must know these guys, and so they register in advance, which is beautiful. For me, it's really beautiful. At the same time, like the last one is going to be live and face-to-face, but we need to stream it because, you know, like, I mean, we have people, even not right now. There's one guy that phoned me last minute from California, and he wanted to register today because I like the topic. I said, well, you're in California, you got to get up pretty early. He goes, I don't care. We're desperate for education. So there's a big movement for education, guys, everywhere. You know, in order to succeed, you gotta be, you know, you gotta be educated and remain educated. Somebody just asked me, what is the June date? The June date is June the 23rd. Okay, June the 23rd. But check the TIA calendar, and you will get all the information. We will remind you. Okay. We're starting to plan already, believe it or not, for next year, not only for the fall. And, you know, like, and for the fall, I would like to remind you that, you know, there's a PYP is earlier this year. And then, you know, like Spectrum Day Toronto is October the 20th. Everything is free. We're going to try to go over 3,000 in attendance. We, you know, like Spectrum Day Toronto is now the fourth largest show in Canada, after the big guys, after the ODA and the PDC and JDQ, and then there's Spectrum Day Toronto, which is really, you know, I'm really proud of what we've done with you guys and with your help. Again, guys, I would like to thank, and I remind you, yes, your association is negotiating bundle packages. However, these sessions cannot be done without the help of the companies. So, you know, like, I would like to thank Alex Chabachevitch, of course, and Oleg and Unique Dental Supply for sponsoring the lecture today. Mark Chan and Swiss NF, you know, Julian Kempnick, you know, like, for sponsoring their lecture. Also, Mark Chan has invited Dr. Gabriele Vaccaro from Italy, you know, and he's on the travel into Tunisia. So we're going to make contact with Tunisia and bring him in. And there's been a shift because of this time change with Tunisia, okay? So today, the lecture is gonna go like this. It's gonna be Alex Chabachevitch. Then we're gonna go to Mark Chan. He's not gonna be the last speaker. Mark Chan and Gabriele Vaccaro, hopefully. And then we're gonna have Dominic Babinski in marketing. Now, this thing is very important to me. The people that know me, it's been a long time. I love the business side of the component because, we are all businesses. Even if you don't own your business, you are a business. You're selling yourself all the time. Now, remember what I said the last time in some of my other courses. I came back from the IDS, and really two things that stick out, like after a whole week. One thing is that, knowledge will slow down, like improvement on the technology will slow down a little bit. Materials will continue to improve, but everybody is bringing in academies, all the companies to teach business, the business component. Okay. So, this is important that you take care of your business. I'm going to do a stronger focus next year. Okay. But I like to hear from all you guys. What do you guys want to see? Do you want to see do you want to see more face-to-face? It's impossible to only do face-to-face because we have members across Canada and the US now. And when we bring people from Germany, from Philippines, from Tunisia, it is impossible. So we need to do the blending, okay? But I need you guys to tell me the topics, what you guys are looking for. I will talk also to the companies because they will tell me what they want because, so there's so many stakeholders and in order to be successful, all the stakeholders need to be happy. The companies need to be happy. The listener get to be happy, and I need to be happy. If we're all happy, we'll keep on going, and it would be very, very successful. Okay, guys. Again, I mentioned the certificates. You will receive them 1 week later. Okay, because what happens is the people that watch the course on demand, they do it the next week. We give them a week, and they will complete it. So we don't want to do stop and go with the certificate. You stop, you go. And then some people see the lecture today and they still want to review it next week. So they ask for the link. So we send the link, but then it's registered as another lecture. So we need to cross-reference that they get one certificate. So, there's a little bit of logistics, but we will take care of this thing. You guys are muted. Okay. No videos are allowed. You can send me the questions as they come in. I will moderate. I watch the lecture. And then if I think that I have the opportunity, I will interrupt and ask the question, or else I'll wait till the end. And then I will ask Alex at that time. Okay. Let me introduce Alex so I don't take much more of his time. I known Alex since we first met. I always like to say that I guess I get nostalgic. We met at Young and Eglinton, and he was working at that Supreme, I think. Yeah. And I always liked him. He was, always quiet but hardworking. And now he's been very successful. He has a successful lab. He has a successful UDS is a successful company that continues to grow. He came to Canada in 1991. He has an affinity for dental technology because his career was in computers before he came into dental technology, but he went to school, he got his RDT license, and in 2000, he opened his lab, okay? And now, he likes lecture education so much. At the same time today, we have a CAD-CAM course designed with Domenico Cascione and a Dr. Elsa. And that he's in California. It starts at 12:30. Another 8 hours he spends there, not only taking the course but also contributing the course. So Alex, education pays off. I'm gonna turn it over to you. Okay, thank you very much for your support over the years. We love to work with you, and it's all yours, Oleg. I'm gonna disappear, but I will be listening.
Thank you, Ettore. Thank you very much. You've always been supporting UDS as well, and everyone. That's what I like about you. It's not just 1, 2, 3 company. You support everybody in Canada and USA. It's a great job. You're doing great. Thank you very much again. Good morning, everyone. Like Ettore said, I started my dental lab in 2000 and with Crown and Bridge, and then moving towards implants, dentures, And again, like I said before, analogs, that's the only way it was at that time, but it was evolving, and I was impressed to see this evolvement happening. So through the years, I went through some lectures around Canada, States, some Europe, and came across different softwares. And of course, in the beginning, you're not sure how everything works. So you're testing out. And even till today, it's not 100%, as we all know. We're still learning, we're still testing to see the best results. But for sure, us out in every way. So of course, with Crown and Bridge, it's advanced a lot, but with dentures, we see it's picking up a lot. And for sure, give few more years, dentures will be moved to digital 100%. Right now, again, it's in a intermediate stage, transitional stage. And I encourage everyone not to sit back and just watch it how some people do. Get involved, try to take some courses, understand different software, understand what's the advantages, disadvantages, but for sure it's here to help us, and it is helping us on every day. I wanted to show you some, maybe, some case with immediate denture, partial denture, or full denture. The idea is great. I would say transitional dentures, if you are a beginner, it would be a great idea to start with transitional dentures, because you don't expect to get high-end quality, if patient is paying a lot of money, but in transitional, it's a great thing to start. So no high expectations, but you can achieve good results. So we have a patient with missing teeth, and we have 1/6 missing tooth, 2/6. We have laterals are missing, centrals we're going to extract. Okay, and we have a bicuspid. So we just prescribe on a prescription with the software and just telling the software that we wanted to do. And we'll move into design. And once in the design, the beauty with Exocad, what I found, there is things that you cannot do with some other softwares. But again, you have to test it out yourself as well. So we're gonna load the scan data. The software just gives us the scans. Today, we're not gonna show you how the scans works. We're just gonna show you designing. Okay, so let's say with immediate, we have a model, we have a scan, but virtually we're gonna remove the teeth. So to do that, we'll go to our software with the expert mode, and we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna extract the tooth. Which one with our prescription, we know that this is the tooth that we're going to remove. Okay, the software calculates it. It's asking you have few options here. So the option is, how much gingiva would you like to remove? That's great. So this, let's say about 2 mil for now. We can always adjust after and see. Also, at the same time, we're going to remove another tooth, which is 2.1. Okay, it's marked down. Anytime, if you like to change different things, we're going to mark it 2.1. We have some tools here that we can use. Let's say if you want to use the margin. Just wanted to show you different tools. So you can mark the area that you like to remove the margin line, or maybe another way of doing it by paint. Okay, so painting the area that you like to remove from the model. If you like that, we just move to next. We're gonna apply. Okay, and the software calculates, and here are the teeth that we removed. Of course, we still can see the pre-op and without the teeth, okay? Maybe this area I like still to remove, to touch it up. No problem. We can do that too. To do that, we're gonna move to our free form scan data. And we have an option to touch up the scan. Okay, let's say if maybe this is a little too sharp, you can reduce it. So basically you're using the tools to do whatever you would do on the model. So let's say this area you wanted to reduce a little bit. With the soft smoothing, you can easily, if you guys see it, you can easily smooth it up. Okay. And once you're ready, you can continue. Maybe you like to reduce more. Okay. You have a brush tool, make your brush bigger. And you see, it's reducing a little bit more. Maybe a little bit there. With the smoothing tool, just smooth it up. Okay. I think it's enough for now. But again, if your doctor prescribed reduce 3 mil, you can reduce 3. Everything you can calculate. Okay, we'll go to the next step. So now we're going to position the tooth. There's a few different ways to do that. So you have choices to put tooth 1/6 from mesial contact to distal. So if you would click on mesial, from the mesial side to the distal, you would get the tooth, okay? Yes, maybe it looks a little bit too big. We can shape it afterwards. That's no problem. If you like the position, you just click next. Now, the next step, the software tells us what to do. So it's very, very easy just to follow what you need to do. But at any time, you can jump in different areas and maybe you like to do something else. So to do that, we have an expert mode. And with that expert mode, you do different things like we did extraction or we smoothed model and did different things. Okay, so again, the area, it's right now we're going to do starting from 1, 2 to 2, 2. We're going to place the teeth. How to do that? From the distal contact 1, 2, we're just going to click there. And we're going to move along to 1, 3. And we're going to position. We're going to move. Yes, it's not a perfect position yet. I can click on this side. You can move it. And we can still change it. Okay, let's move to the next tooth, which is 2, 4. So let's try a different way. We have another way of positioning gingiva position to, okay, let's put gingiva on the mesial side and towards the distal. Okay. We can still change the position later in the steps. Let's move to the next one. We have to put tooth 2, 6. So let's do it from mesial to the distal. Same idea. Okay. let the software calculate. And now with these tools, we can just drag it. So again, like I was telling earlier, the software is here for us to use. So you have to be able to understand the software. There is many tools. It's like yourself, your brain. There is so much you wanted to do, right? But do you need hot spatula? Do you need carving tools? Everything is here. So you have to learn the tools to be able to use it. And if you don't use it, you don't know how it's done. So I encourage you, take courses. And of course, in the future, everyone will have a software. Doesn't matter what you do. Because what I see right now is a lot of technicians, denturists, even dentists, they prescribe to do whatever work they do. But when designs come back, or the real case come back, they're disappointed. And the best thing is to communicate with your technician, the dentist, denturist, whatever it is. And once you get the case of design back to approve it, you should, I believe you should have your own software to open up, to be able to open up this case and to touch up your designs. There's so many nuances there. So if you just would communicate that way, it would be a lot better for the end user, whatever it is. Okay, so right now, this tooth looks a little bit too big. So I can go to single mold just by pressing Shift. I can make this tooth smaller, larger. Okay, same thing. I have a discs on the side. I can make it smaller from this side, a little bit on this side. Don't forget, we do want some material to be around the tooth, right? So maybe on this step, I'm going to leave it, or I can still control with control. I can shift it, position it however I like. Okay, and a little bit more in. Same thing with the disc. You see, you can drag, you can do different positioning, whatever you like. Okay. At the same time, if I like the position of the laterals, for example, I can lock them and I can move the centrals. Okay. Maybe a touch too much. All right. Now let's move to the next tooth, which is bicuspid. 2, 4, and let's rotate a little bit. Just so it's becoming like anything else. Once you do it more and more, you become a lot better. Okay, same thing. If you lock the tooth, it won't move. Like that with the red dot. Okay, but right now I'm still kind of working on it, so I'm continuing. But let's say we like the position. Let's move to the next tooth. Okay, a little space on both sides because we want material to go around the tooth. Again, the material that is used here is the flexible material. It's becoming more and more popular. I believe, partials in the future, like acrylic partials or flexible partial, that could be a huge hit because of easy to use, and it's aesthetically pleasing.
Alex,
Yes.
there's a question from Annie Chu. She said,
Yep.
what do the pink margins on the gingiva indicate? What do the pink margins on the gingiva indicate?
Okay. Right now, we're on the stage that is just showing that maybe it's pressing. Right now, you see it's going through the model. So we just did roughly position. Okay. So once we're gonna move to the next step, we're gonna remove this pink, or the color will go away. So let's say at this step, we like it. Oh, this is one area that I wanted to show before we move to the next step. Let's bring our tooth that was previously before. So we can bring it in and take a look. Oh, you see, maybe I need to move my teeth a little bit more out. You see, it just indicates where the tooth placement was. Okay, so what I can do, I can just move a little bit out if I need to. Okay, and it just gives me this kind of idea that it was there. Same thing midline. Maybe the midline we wanted to adjust. Okay, let's take a look. So on the chain, I'm gonna move to the chain, and it's gonna move a little bit. Okay, we can always move, come back in the next step. Let me see just here. That's it, like that. Okay, maybe I want to move forward a bit. Well, you know, it depends. You guys see the patients, so you can see what is the best way to improve it. Okay, you can tilt it a little bit if you want to tilt more, so you can get to the exact position where the patient had the tooth before. Okay. So again, in the next step, we can still adjust it. This is a rough position, but I wanted to point this out. Okay. So again, by showing where the tooth placement was. Okay, pre-op. Okay, let's go to the next step. Like I said before, in this step, you can still adjust different things. So for example, if you like to move the cusp, you can still adjust cusp area. Okay, you can zoom in. You see this tooth may be a little bit longer. That's no problem. Even with different area, you can just adjust it however you like. Smaller areas like a cusp tips, you can adjust it very easily. Okay, but I like to use a little bit bigger area and move it. Okay. So in this area, let's say maybe you have that certain, somebody says, okay, let's add in the distal of the 1-1 with the different tools again, with add-on material, you can come in and add it. Okay.
Alex?
Yes.
We have another question from Alec.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't we position the teeth with the lower model articulated? The beautiful positions could change when the lower mold is in place.
Exactly. So it's all up to you. Maybe there is a lower, maybe the patient doesn't have right now, maybe you working. Right now, I'm just showing you the idea, what's out there. But once you have the lower, then yes, you would articulate it in whatever case it is, and you would see where your bite is. But for demonstration purposes right now, we don't have the lower. Okay. So in this situation, remember, like I said, you have teeth are protruding through the model. Okay. So to do that, we have a special tool. We go to adaptation tool. And at the bottom, okay, no problem. At the bottom, we're gonna choose how much. No, we have about 1 millimeter. Let's reduce 1 millimeter. Sorry about that. Nobody usually calls my home line now. About 1 point, we can always adjust a little bit. Let's say 1.2, and just with one click, let's see how the software cuts the tooth. So again, you can control how much you want a tooth to cut. So it cut it. Now let's take a look. And you see how it's cut about 1.2. You can do 1.5. You can do whatever you like. Okay, so of course we have some areas that you can adjust by simply clicking, smoothing the tools. You can do that. Okay, if you like, you can create more neck. Okay, but at the same time, if we don't have much space, gingiva, or you can reduce more, you have full control of what needs to be done. Okay, so on this step, if we like it, what the position of the tooth, we can go next, or we can still, maybe to me, anatomy is too strong. I can just ease up and just smooth it up, the tooth, by looking at adjacent teeth. It's nice anatomy, but maybe it's not that much, not that strong. So to me, it's a little bit too strong. I can smooth this up. Again, it's up to you, however you like. Okay. So again, even though you smooth it, let's say you smooth it and you said, oh, maybe I did too much. You can always go back. Each step, whatever you did, the software knows each step. So you can always reduce. Or you can always add your signature. Maybe you liked your own anatomy. And you can make your brush as big as you want or small and just carve it in. Like you would do with your handpiece. You know? Okay. So you have ability to do anything you like, even more. Okay, so let's take a look at the context, or even like I was saying, interproximal. Sometimes you like to add, would be a good idea.
Alex, another question just came in. Is there a wizard mode to apply smoothing the anatomy to all teeth in just one click instead of doing it tooth by tooth?
Yes, it's a perfect question. So, for example, there is a different library of teeth. So let's say certain teeth you like, even as a denture tooth from Ivoclar, Vita, Yamahachi. So let's say you like certain teeth, you can have this library. It's available in the software, or if you don't have, we can load up for you. And that tooth library have that anatomy, let's say, that you like. For example, let's say you like certain tooth library that it's not available. You can create your own, or you can use the existing library, touch up what you like, save it and call it a Tori, and it's always will be there for you. Okay, so there's so many things that you can do. And at the same time, yes, there is a way to do it. There is a flat occlusion, smooth occlusion. So there's a lot of things. So of course, within, short time, we cannot go through all this, but the tools are there. Like I said, you have to use it, try it, and everybody have their own preferences. And then from there, you move on, right? Okay, let's go to the next step. So in this step, again, sometimes you want to adapt the pre-op to your setup. It's available, but we're not going to do right now. So for example, the teeth are done. We can always print them separately and print gingiva separately. So right now we're just going to design the gingiva. Okay. And then we can show you what can be done. All right. So at this step, it's just asking you the path of insertion. Very important tool. So we can go, we can change it up however you like. So it's showing you this is the path of insertion and this is how much it will block out. And again, you can control the block out. This is another beauty of the software. Because if you would do it as an analog way, and you have to fit this into your model, a lot of grinding, a lot of fiddling how it's done. If this tool you can do properly, your dentures will fit so nicely and you don't need much wasting time to fit. Okay, so let's say we're gonna position, this is the way I like it. I like to see less undercut. I'm gonna set insertion, it positioned to me. Okay. Maybe I can do a little bit more. All right, let's do this way. Yeah, and let's apply it. Okay, the software calculates it right now and does the block out. So later on, when your base is done, it's just gonna pop in. This is a huge advantage. Okay. So just a little bit more. Again, when you're using software, try to get good computer. That's important. This is my PC, laptop, but at the regular station, we do have stationary PC. That's very, very powerful.
Alex, question from Mark
Yep.
Chan.
Okay.
Can you save the blocked out model to print
Ye-
it later?
Exactly. Yes, you can. So to do that, all you have to do in the software at this stage without the teeth, you can just go to your model and just save to file. Okay. And then you can name it block out model, save it, and you got STL right there saved in your project. Okay, and anytime you need, you can just print it. This is actually a great question. We had that question before. With some other software, they couldn't do that. Okay, so right now, we're just gonna outline gingiva base. So to do that, again, it's up to you. You can start however you like. Let's see our teeth. Okay, you can make your teeth all the way so you can see it, or you can make it translucent so you can see through them. Okay, that's a great thing to have. So right now I'm designing, because it's a flexible partial, I can design clasps that will be going around some teeth. Again, it's up to you. However you like. Where would you like to do it? Okay, just around right here. You can do the clasp or you can do just a little wing, right? Anytime you design, you can still change it up. Let's say if you like the clasp, I can make it as a clasp, right? You can drag it, okay? Or you can just minimize it. Make it small. You are in control. Maybe this one a little too much. We can always change it. You can go even more. Okay. All right, so just keep going where you stopped. This is important. If I'm going to start going to the other side like this, I'm going to mess up. So make sure you understand what's going on. Okay, and you can move to the other side. Okay, just like that. Okay.
Me again, Alex.
Yep.
With the flexible material, how much of the undercut do you engage?
So again, you can control all this undercut. It also depends on the milling strategies, on the burrs. So I would say the software gives you the parameters as a default, and then test it out. And then from there, you can adjust it.
And one more from Joy de la Marina.
Yeah.
There no survey line to determine the position of the clasp.
So it's actually in the previous step, the software already blocked out. Like for example, right here, you see there is a block out done, very little. That's why the path of insertion, we can go back, of course, but when there was a path of insertion, it was giving us the outline. So we can also go back and see it. But great question. Again, a lot of things are in development, right? Stages. So a lot of times, if you have any idea, you can write to Exocad and tell them what you like. And they're open-minded. They go through, thousands of requests, and they see what can be done and, how to improve it. Of course, that's why every year Exocad comes up with the new software update. The software is the same, but they do just an update. So it's a great thing to know and to be up to date. So I can put as many dots I want, or I can just go with one click and go around it. But you can control all this afterwards with adjustment, right? You can do this way, or again, you see how we can move back and to do the clasping. Okay, you can drag it, you can lower it. But
Alex, Mike Chen is back with another question. Can you also save the seam with teeth and base together so you can mill or print mono one piece?
Yes, definitely. It's a great idea to do it. If you like to, let's say, try it in, how it fits, right? So you can do as a one piece, trying.
Wow.
Yeah, so many things. Okay, so at the end, you can double click anywhere and the software just will calculate it. Okay, it did some calculation. Okay, we have, again, at this stage, we can still do some changes. Maybe it's too close, the software trying to understand it's together, but it's okay, we can always adjust it after. And the next step, it will finalize it, but let's say if you want to have a gingiva smaller, higher, those kind of areas, We can adjust. Maybe it's too much or too little. Same thing, you know. Again, everything is adjustable, so no worries. Okay, let's move to the next step. All right. So now we see the base, we see the teeth, we see the pre-op, if you like to see. All right. And up here we have our tooth shape, merge. Okay. So here now we can, with the different tools, we can just make some adjustment. Of course, it's a little bit bulky. So again, with the same kind of tools, with the brush, you can make it smaller. You can go manually to the line, make it, or you can see with shift, I can roll my brush smaller or bigger. Okay, and with softening, I can just smooth it up. Okay. And I can, if you see, I can smooth this nicely. I can make it fast. I can make it slow down with different strength and the brush size. Okay. See, I can do different things. Okay, with a small tool, I can zoom in. And
Alex, we have a
just-
comment that came in, no question, but a comment from Mark Chen. It says, can Alex also mention that he has intraoral scanners and lab scanners that can support this software as well?
Yes. So thank you, Mark. So of course, Unique Dental, we're always looking for great products to introduce, to bring it to our customers. So we have an intraoral scanner by Shining 3D, which is a great scanner, even though not too many people know about this company, but this company, I've been seeing them in the past 10 years, and they're growing rapidly and coming out with the great products. So from them, we have a lab scanner and intraoral scanner. So intraoral scanner is a great tool for scanning instead of taking, impressions. But again, for soft tissue, not just this particular scanner or other scanners, not there yet, as everybody knows. But for partials, it's actually pretty good, and it does good job like every other scanner. So this scanner, the advantages is the price, of course, and that there is no annual fees that some other company charges. So if you have any questions, anybody like to see it, or at the show, or you can set up appointment and we can come to you and see it. All right, so different things you can do here. As you see, of course, it's also in the rough stage. Like I said, you can add, you can remove, you can do different. There's lots of different ideas to carve around the tooth. You can make it as beautiful as you want. Same thing with analog. I've seen guys are very particular with the wax up, or they do just rough wax up and then they do the trimming. So it's all up to you. If you spend a lot more time here, you will do very little trimming and basically just polishing. So you can do different variation, of course. If you don't like, you can always cut this out, right? And do just kind of around the neck. Okay. So like I showed you before, with design, you can do it, or you can smooth it in any step as you like.
Yeah,
Okay.
again, Alex.
Yep.
We may design, question from Alec again. We may design the base and clasps any way we want. Now, would the software finally check the design to see if the design is feasible or practical to make a denture off of it?
So of course, again, like Mark said, I think like how we do with analog way, you do setup, you do try-in with the patient, and then you see, right, how it comes out. So yes, in the beginning, I'm not saying it's, you know, you jump in, 3 clicks, everything is perfect, and that's it. It's like everybody else was saying before. Technicians used to say that, oh, our job is done, that's it, the dentist is just going to press the crown or print the crown, mill the crown. No, it's a lot of work involved. It's not just 1 click and everything is perfect. So same thing with dentures. A lot of denturists saying that's it, the dentist will take over, no more job for us with the software. No, that's why we are here. That's why you need to use the software, create your work, try it, then see how it works. And there is lots of pros and cons. So for sure. So nothing is perfect, but it's here for us to help us to do a better job. Okay. Tori, how much time do we have?
You should finish at 10:02. You have another.
Yeah, I have
30
another
minutes,
case to
Alex.
go over. That's why.
25 minutes. We have
Okay.
time, Alex. Go ahead.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so with this case, kind of we understand. With the next click, we're gonna finalize it. Okay, so one step that we didn't do is the connectors. Okay, with the tooth. So when you print, in this situation, we're gonna print single tooth, but in the front, we can use connectors to fuse them together and print as one piece, right? So with that, we can remove our gingiva and we can see where we are. So again, with control, you can do different connectors. Right now it's round. We can use oval. We can hide the connector behind. Okay, yes, maybe it goes to the lingual side. So at the same time, we can visualize it. Okay, we can go in and move different way. Okay, we can make it a little bit smaller. Okay, let's apply it. Okay, I can make even smaller. We don't need so much. Okay, let's see what it does. Okay, it made smaller. Okay, we can always go in and even touch it up. But let's say we like it, then we can move to the next step. Okay, it's calculating okay, at this step, it's gonna calculate the pockets. So this is also a very important step. So because we have the teeth, and the teeth needs to be in this denture base. So with this step, this is also another area which is important to test it out. Like we said, one piece for trying, and at this step. So because in this step, when you're gonna print, this is how your teeth is gonna fit into the denture. Again, somebody asked me before, can you create some retention in the tooth? Yes, you can. So each tooth you can go in, and inside you can create a hole, whatever you like, to create that retention. So it's also a great thing to do. So again, different ways, lots of different things to do. So the software gives you this kind of settings for the tooth pocket. So of course, if you like something, you can always save it in your software. So every time it will be the same. So we're going to apply it. And once you do it, it calculates it and it moves to the next step. All right. So again, right here, I see we could have done a little bit better job. It's telling us that connectors needs to be more adapted, so we can move and do that. But let the software finish up. All right, so now, so again, you can move back, do the connectors, and recalculate. But otherwise, this is how it's presented. And again, with next click, it's finished. And I wanted to show you, okay, this is fine. It just shows that there is other files exist, similar. And this is how it is. Now, with that, at any step here, if I like to move and do something else, I can go. I can go to, like we said, expert mode, same design, again, gingiva design, free forming, so still touching up. Or I can just go to next. And it's going to save it in our folder. Okay. So right here in our folder, I can show to you where our files are. Okay, so this is all the files that we were done. Okay, so you have each tooth. This is the bridge. So let's say if you like to print this teeth, so you would select this teeth, right? Each one, and you would just send it to a printer or milling, it doesn't matter. And same thing with the denture base. You would do it separately or as a one piece. All right. So right now, let me show you other case. Okay, let me load. So let's see. So it's another case, actually, interesting case that, so patient, actually, it's a real case. Again, intermediate dentures. Right now, I'm only suggesting to do intermediate because, you know, you want to, high-end dentures is not there yet for me. Unless you're really doing maybe milling with Iva cup, right, system. Evolution, right? How they call it. Okay, so right now, let's load it up. So we have an immediate denture on the top. So the same thing, we're gonna extract upper, and at the same time, there is lower coming as well. So let's scan, okay, scan data. Files. So again, that's something else also. I see a lot of frustration happening with digital. It's not just about design, it's also understanding about the filing system. It's very important. So all your cases have to be organized where they are. So same thing, you need to get hands-on to understand what's happening. So a lot of stuff, misunderstanding happening in the stage. So we're going to load up the upper jaw. The software is letting us know what to do. Okay, and the bite. And now it's going to ask us to do the lower jaw. Okay. Okay. So this moment or this stage, again, same thing, just software wants to know this is the position. Okay. So we're going to move. So this is how it's presented. Patient was overclosed. The teeth was over erupted. You see, it's a huge mess. So, so all these teeth are coming out, but at this moment, it's been only working on the upper. Okay. So we'll go to our tools. We're going to bring our articulator. Okay. We're going to position the model. All right. Okay. These models are not, it's not an ideal case, as we all know. Okay. Okay, of course, if you have settings on articulator, yes, you can do it. Okay, so something like this.
Another question
Yeah.
for you. Can you use a digital face bow?
Yes, you can. Yes. Again, with digital right now, there's so much, but when you get into this, you wanted to simplify, but at the same time, yes. So there's many tools right now evolving the movements of the jaw. You can all put it in, all this information, and the software can calculate. So of course, again, I don't suggest anyone to jump in right away into all these huge things. Start simple cases. Flipper, 2 teeth, 1 tooth, and step by step, right? The most important is to do it. But by just watching things, it all looks pretty, it all looks good. But when you start doing it, you start having so many questions, even on the simple things. Okay, so again, because we brought articulator, you can choose different articulator. You have different articulators always here. Even if you don't have it, you can load it up, whatever you like. That's the beauty of the software, that it's open software.
I think Annie Chu is concerned because she's looking help from the wizard. Is there a wizard mode to articulate the models?
So again, okay, I'm gonna show it to her. So right now we are in the expert mode. We went to expert mode. So I'm gonna start the articulator. It gives us the movements, whatever is set here. Of course, you can change it up. Okay, no problem. And use different articulator, but again, the majority, I see a lot of people even use right now 95% hinge articulator. Here we have a huge advantage with other articulator, but again, who is judging, right? So right now we're gonna click OK. Articulator moves out, but the recordings, we still have it here. So I can still bring it, you see, do the protrusive movement. Again, doesn't have to be this case. We have other cases, right? You can do the same thing. And now we go back to wizard, okay? Now we're gonna start with the model analysis, just for the software to know where we are, okay? So we have a plane with our piece, with our Artex articulator. Okay. So now we're gonna just define our molars. Okay, it tells us, okay, that the molars, where to position. Okay, this is the wizard basically. Okay, now it's gonna tell us where to put bicuspids. Again, it's all roughly positioned because we can always change. It just tells, it's asking us to do that so the software can bring the tooth setup, rough tooth setup. Okay. And let's click next. All right. So now let's bring our upper. Okay, let's go, let's say okay. And we move to the next step. So this is where it gets also tricky. So this is our, the most important thing. 1 second. Let's do the tooth extraction, right? It gives us the setup, but we didn't perform the tooth extraction. So let's do that. All right, so in the expert mode, let's do the tooth extraction. Okay, so same thing. Let's remove our teeth. Okay, and we're gonna perform a tooth. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teeth to extract. We're gonna click on the tooth. This is actually amazing. And we're gonna say it's 1, 3. Okay. We want to increase our gingiva. When we're reducing the tooth, you can control it, how much you want it to reduce. Okay. So let's move to the next tooth. Okay, let's click on that. I'll show you a few different ways, like in the previous case. Okay. Let's move to another tooth. 1, 1. Okay. Now, with this tooth, let's say we wanted to okay, just 1 second, let me show you. 2, 1. All right. Now we're gonna go to another tooth. 2, 2. Okay. And now let's do with this one. I'm gonna show you a little bit different. So you can do different ways. So let's say we'll do margin. And you see, I can extract or reduce the gingiva and extract a little bit more than I need. I just wanted to show you. But again, there's other tools to do that, but this is one of the things, one of the tools. Okay, we're gonna apply it. All right, 2, 3, we marked it, and we say, okay. So now, at this step, we have the teeth that are extracted. Okay, now, also great tools. You see, you have some areas that maybe it wasn't perfect. See what I mean? Right there. So again, we can go into scan. Like we said, you have a wizard and you have an expert mode. Right now, we're in the expert mode still. We were doing extraction. So we'll go to our scan data. So right here, this is very important. Once you do this, you cannot go back. So again, with this smoothing tool, you see I can smooth. I can reduce. See right now, green, I can add. Okay, I'm adding. I can undo it. Or when I click shift, I can reduce it. I can make it. See, I can reduce it. Okay. Again, it's extraction. So you have discussed with your doctor how much to reduce all this important area. It's up to you. Okay. It's on your control. With the smoothing, see a little bit of smooth. Now, don't forget, guys, it's a real case. So with the smoothing, you see, I can do that. All right. Again, all this, I would suggest to speak to your doctor and say, look, what do you think? How much can I reduce? Okay. And the beauty of the software is also, anytime you have any questions, you can take a screenshot. You see right here, a screenshot, just take a picture. You can send it, email, text it, or HTML. This is huge. If you would click on this, you would save this file and you can email it to the doctor. And basically, the doctor doesn't need to have a software to open this up. They would just open the screen the same way how you would see it right now. And they would even maneuver on a cell phone. They would have all these tools just to see it. They can see even pre-op. They would have a picture tools to open up and see pre-op. They would see the bite. Whatever you see, they would see it. That's a huge, huge advantage. So same thing, communication with the doctor or technician. Okay. So I would strongly suggest to do that. Okay. So like I said, even scans sometimes comes and it's not perfect. You see right here, look at the bubbles. So even with your tools, you can just go in and remove it. Okay, so let's say with a small tool, I can go in, you see, I'm kind of removing whatever I think it shouldn't be there. Okay, or with a bigger brush, you see this area? Okay, with the smoothing, you can do that. So anything you like. Of course, we can spend more time cleaning up. Same thing in this area. Okay. Same thing right here. Okay. Okay. So it's up to you. If maybe you think you did too much, you can always add. Or let's say you did something wrong and you want to go back, you have a tool to undo it. Okay. And smooth it. So you are in control. Yeah, of course, there's some undercuts. We know it's going to be blocked out. Okay. So let's say in tuberosity area. Look at this. Not perfect, right? So same thing. you can adjust it a little bit. See this area? You can do it. Okay, we're not gonna touch it right now, but it's there for you. Oh, this is another great idea. So at this stage, if you like to pulse them, right? This is the stage you would do it. So you would bring your tool, small tool, carving tool, and you would go to add or remove. Click on, you can make your brush bigger. You see bigger or smaller, right? So you can just start outline it. Okay, I kind of went a little bit fast. I wanted to see just where the line is. Where is it gonna be? Anytime you do that, you kind of score the model, right? If you did something wrong, you can undo it. So let's say, pulse them, a little bit of kind of removing. Of course, same thing with tuberosity. You can clean this up. You can add, remove. Okay, so, okay, and you can smooth it. See, look, I'm gonna just smooth. Again, how much you wanna do it, it's all up to you. I can make it bigger and smooth it. Okay. Smooth it up a little bit. If you want that to make that line bigger, no problem, you can do. Okay, just wanted to show you. And once you click OK, the model is saved. Same thing, if you wanted to print this model, you would click on the model and you would just select to print. Okay. At any time, the software does save whatever you do. So if something will happen to your power, whatever you've done it's saved. But again, if you're not sure, anytime you have a save button. So you can just click and save it. Okay, let's go back to Wizard. And now we're gonna perform setup our teeth. So, okay, all our teeth where existing teeth were before. Okay, this is huge. So now you can perform, you can still keep it, or you can move a little bit, or just in as a shadow, you can do that. Okay. Tori, how are you doing with time?
I think we're done, Alex. I was waiting for you to finish, and we have a comment and a question that I want to give you. Okay.
So just a quick thing. I just wanted to finish here. So of course, with tooth setup, you can change different teeth, right? Different size. It all depends on the library. Okay, and again, with all the libraries, it all exists. So you can do all the settings, you know, with the software. But the beauty thing that, of course, you have full control of it. Okay, and again, like I said before, you have to try it, you have to do it, and you have to don't sit back and watch somebody else do it. Try do it yourself. And again, I wanted to say that we're always setting up some courses for denturists, for technicians. So, you know, give us a call. We'll be happy to help. Okay,
thank you, Alex. Let me finish. Like, you know, Mark Chan is such a gentleman. He goes, let him finish. Yeah, because this is so good. I think it would take a long time to finish it. The issue is that we have Gabriele is from Italy, but is in Tunisia, and the time difference, we have to squeeze everybody in. Let me ask you a question from Joey Della Marina again. He says, how do you provide relief over the palatial tori?
Okay, so there is a tools also. You can, in the software, you can do the same thing in the previous one. There's a few tools to do the blockout, so you can control that.
Okay. And then there's a comment the Mark had written before. I saved it for the end. And I mean, it's a comment really, but as a lab for you, I guess, Alex, as a lab working with clinician in all specialties, do you find that doing digital has helped you communicate prosthetics implant planning? Ultimately, case success as things are not lost in communication.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Now with these tools, what I showed you, just with a simple click, you have this HTML file. Whatever you do, you can send it to a doctor, technician, denturist, and you can communicate a lot easier than before. Even now with the pictures, just the simple pictures, it's like 1,000 words. So for sure, the simple things, you can improve a lot.
And this is not communicated too much, Mark. I remember doing a survey to dentists, I would say about 15 years ago when I started, because I'm not dental. And I asked what they wanted most from the labs at the time. And they said communication. But you got to speak the same language. If they take the courses and the technician or the denturists don't take the digital courses, the communication is going to be lacking. And again, very simple, in order to be successful in anything, you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest time, effort, and money. So yeah, you're here this morning, most of you guys. We got 82 and another 40. We'll take it on later. That's time, effort. You could be reading the paper or, just wasting your time or going shopping, do whatever. And money, yeah, you didn't pay me. Some people pay, a lot of people pay, but the association pay for you guys, but you are a member. So it's your money anyways, so it's always time, effort, and money. Alex is right. Okay. We're trying to, Domenico is going to do another course with the beginners, intermediate, and advanced in September. We start again. Okay. Let us know. We'll send you the dates. I'm not going to take too much time because we have a Gabriela in Tunisia getting ready to go. Also at the Spectrum Day Toronto, I'm going to work with UDS and we're going to try to do some live where you work on your own computer and it's not going to be just a demo, which would be necessary. I think this is necessary now, guys. So it's very, very good. So stay tuned. Okay, we'll keep you posted. Okay, and keep in mind when we do the live face-to-face, the last one of the year, okay, which would be in September, I said I would need you guys to tell me who's you got to register because we have to order the breakfast. You cannot just show up. It's gonna be streaming because there's people in Vancouver and Alberta that that's gonna happen. But you guys got to let me know who's coming in and who's not. But this one worked out very well, asking the question as you were going on, Alex, because it made it more interactive.
Yeah.
And you answered the questions when the questions came up. So I'll see you at 12:35 in the other channel. It's like with Domenico, okay, because we have the course going on. But I will go on with this one. Okay, guys. Thank you, Alex. You did a great job again. So I see Mark Chen ready to go. Where's Julian? Julian, are you coming on board? Please check in. And Gabriele, please come in. Okay, you can. There we go. Are we coming in?
I'm here.
Okay, so Mark Chen is here. And let me see what's coming in here. Yeah. Okay,
Gabriele
there's Gabriele. Gabriele, buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Hello to everybody.
Yes,
hello
back
again.
to everybody. And there's Julian.
Morning.
Julian, are you freaking covering your hairstyle this morning or what?
No balding.
Okay.
Can't wake up the whole
Julian,
can't wake up the whole family yet. They're all half still in bed.
Julian, like UDS, they're friends, and they support your education. So I love these guys, okay, because they're committed. They're committed to make sure that you progress in this bloody digital world. Do you want to say a few words, Ju?
Good morning, everybody. It was great to watch Alex doing his stuff. Long discussions with Ettore a couple of years ago. I told him this was what needs to be done is pushing of the software, exocad, 3Shape, and really getting the dealers to get out there and showing what needs to be done, right? Because it's a tough thing to sell, and it's not something you just give and go, here, figure it out. It's not quite that simple. So today, I think will be a great lecture Mark's going to do. I think you're lecturing a little bit.
We'll see. We'll see if I need
And
to
are you
switch
going
in.
to pass off?
No, we'll see. I'll introduce Gabriele.
right? We had a talk with Ryan the other day with Nicholas, and we brought up how we want to bring more education into Canada, especially to the Dentures schools also. And he offered us Gabrielle, and so it should go very well. Should be good. I hope everybody enjoys it. And I love these webinars because we were able to bring guys like this from far away to show you guys some new things.
I'll say a couple words too.
I gotta let
Great.
Mark, I gotta turn it over to Mark, so I won't waste time. The only thing is, yes, Julian,
All right.
you hit it right on. Okay, we cannot do it, anyway, and now we're used to such high caliber talent. Today the talent is, of course, I love it even more because it's Sicilian, so I love it. It's very close. But yes, Julian, I would like to do that. We can play a big role in bringing him into Canada and also in the US. I know the American Prosthodontic Society in 2025, as the president is going to be an Italian, Poggio, Dr. Poggio from Italy, and we're going to bring Odontotecnica in Italy to Chicago, okay? And then
nice.
we're going to start bringing it to Canada too, because it's nice to see the talent. But we have our own talent, like Mark is world renowned now, and yet the first time I saw him, I said, get this crazy guy out of my life, please. But, now, we have him.
He grows on you, trust me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. I'm gonna disappear, Mark. It's all yours. You guys have that. Keep in mind that he has another lecture in Tunisia, so he's got to run. So you do it, and you got to introduce him, right?
Got it. Yep. Got
Okay,
it.
guys, Drew, thank you very much. And it's all yours. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. I know everybody, I was on the lecture today, but everybody's sick and tired of seeing me. So I called a friend. I called some friends from Italy. I was really impressed with the team from Ryan because they brought a clinical technical lecture last time when I was impressed myself. So as a guest lecturer, I brought Gabriele. He has a lot of experience both in implantology, endodontics, and also removables. The group that you're lecturing to, Gabriele, is all denturists, so we're all prosthetic technicians, but we work with patients. So I just wanted to bring you guys another viewpoint. I'm going to sit and lecture and listen because I think I have a lot to learn from the lovely doctor. So the floor is all yours. Talk really slow. Some of them are students, some of them are young, some of them are very experienced. So the floor is yours. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ettore. Ettore, I like to pronounce your name in the Italian way. Ettore.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like my mom used to call it. Thank you,
exactly.
Gabriele.
So, shall I share the screen right now?
Yes,
Sure.
you can start.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, share. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Share the screen. Okay. 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 Maybe there is some safety.
Ettore, can you just make him the host, please? Thank you. Ettore. Just needs the host. He just needs the host. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll make him host now.
Thank you. 1 second, Gabriele.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark, he's already co-host. Mark, I have made him a co-host.
Oh, is it not working, Gabriele?
That's for video clip. Okay.
Gabriele, is it open on your desktop? Open it on your desktop.
I did it.
Okay, and then go to the share screen, and it should open it.
Yeah. Okay. I have some maybe off general. Maybe some security alert. I don't know. Zoom. Okay. Okay. No, it's not sharing. Not yet. Okay.
Then you know what? You need to go out.
Yeah.
Back in. Okay, come back in and allow Zoom.
Allow Zoom?
To access your computer.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just leave
So
the room
go
and come
out
back
and
in.
then come back in and allow Zoom
Okay.
to access your computer.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You got to
Also-
do that. You got to do that when you're out.
he just left. Okay, I'll
Okay.
start. I'll start a little bit then.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, guys. Just to fill in some time real quick. Let's make sure I can do this. Is my screen sharing, Tori? It's okay. Is it working?
Yeah.
Let's make sure. All right, cool. So we're going to be talking about ball attachments today, just to fill some time before the doctor comes back in. As a technical rep for Swiss F Metals, I think I get phone calls every single day. And just to get some notes in is when I get requests for ball attachments, everyone just calls me and says, hey, it's a mini implant. So what I can give advice, and if you can take something from the lecture today, just a little note to save a lot of your company's time, both Central Dental and myself that are doing attachment work, and even implant companies, just make sure you measure what you are seeing in the mouth. I know you guys send me photos on my cell phone or you send me an email, but without a measurement, it's really impossible for Julian, myself, the team at Swiss F Metals with the Braident team to actually give you the right part. And I think the major complaint I get from all denturists and technicians is, you sent me the wrong part. Why did you not send me the right one? I sent you a photo. But photos are one thing. They communicate a lot. But unfortunately, without scale, it's really difficult for me to understand what to do. For example, I'm just going to go through what I mean. And these are the kind of photos that we get as a team at Swiss F Metals. This is from Julian's old folder and files from his dad, who's passed. But these are photos that we get, and without scale, it's really difficult to understand what to do. So quickly, I'll just show you what I mean, how difficult it can be. When we get photos like this is very common. On the patient's left, we have the same attachments as the patient's right, but because it's blurry, it's very hard to understand what to send. And most denturists will just send Julian a text message and say, hey, send me a mini attachment. When in fact, this is not a mini attachment. This could be 2.2 diameter or a 1.8 diameter. And as denturists, seeing what we see, we don't all do implant work as denturists in this room, but will encounter a implant or two in our whole career, I'm sure. So my point is that wear some gloves when you're taking photos. This is an old photo from the 80s and 60s, but please measure the actual diameter of the ball. And that is not the neck of the ball, not the thin part, the actual diameter of the ball. Because without this diameter, it is quite difficult to give you the part, because there are many attachments that can work in concurrent with the attachment you're working with. Though it may not be the same company, it may work for your case. Because as we all know, most of the cases that we are seeing, remaking, or rebuilding are not cases that are new. They are old from a long time ago, and it is not easy for us to manage these cases. A lot of these patients got and paid a lot of money for these cases a long time ago, and we are inheriting these cases as denturists. Sometimes it's not always possible to remake the bar. It is not also possible financially, physically, or their patient's not capable for you letting them to remove the actual implant restoration. So, we are essentially doing triage dentistry, and we're making what is in their mouth work. Okay, so that's really important. And the question I get all the time is, I'm just going to go to my full slide. I'm going to leave it closed so I can see if the doctor comes back in, is stud type attachments. Stud type attachments are the term for ball attachments. I'm just bringing this up because it is the most complicated one, because we really don't get taught that at school. We really just get taught locators, and just because it looks like a locator doesn't mean it is a locator. There are many companies that sell locator or locator type looking attachments. And what I can tell you guys as denturists from my experience clinically, and also from talking to many colleagues who have a lot more experience in this room, Joey Del Marina, who taught me implants in school, is here in the room, and he also has a lot of experience on implants too. And you guys as a profession, especially the younger denturists in the room, need to reach out to your more seasoned clinicians, ask them for advice, or ask companies that are here to support you for advice. I work with Julian and the team at Swiss F Metals as your support team, so call me, use me as a resource. I'm free. This is why I get paid by Julian, so call me, bother me, and this is what I can say is going to save your case. Don't just think, hey, you know what? It's a ball attachment. I'm just going to put a ball attachment. Just like, every case needs a locator. Not every case.
Mark,
Yes. Yeah.
Mark, the doctor is back in.
Okay.
So if you got to stop sharing and allow him to share.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thank
Thank
you. Sorry, guys. Just try to kill some time there. Give me a second. Give me a second. 30 seconds, guys. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Stop sharing. Try now.
Hello, Mark. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, okay.
Did it work now?
It's working. Yeah, I hope.
Natora, is it sharing? Because I can't see right now.
Yeah, Mark, I don't see him sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying. Open system. Access. Okay, sorry. I have to do it in advanced setting
problem.
mode. Yeah, okay.
I'm just going to mute myself so I don't ramble. Actually, in the actual chat, guys, is there an implant system or attachment system that you guys are struggling with in the field? I know Christian's in the field. He works with a lab, and he's a good friend of mine. If you could ask some questions, I can answer them now, because I know that the big request from some of the schools is there more implant education for attachments? Because we do encounter these things. What's the best way to measure a ball? I use digital calipers, 12-inch digital calipers from Amazon. Nothing digital, nothing dental. Just make sure they're digital. I know all of us in this room have those analog calipers that have the millimeter rule. Unfortunately, that's not accurate enough to give you a measurement. So I think as a clinical kit, if you're a denturist seeing implants in your field, please get a set of digital calipers. That's really important.
Mark?
Yep.
Mark, perhaps we can try to assist Gabriele. Gabriele,
Can you send me the presentation, Gabriele, and I'll share it.
The presentation right now, I can, yeah.
Send it to me, all right, and I'll share it.
Or
Okay.
yeah, because like he's gotta get in.
I know.
Yes, okay, so it's gonna be he's gotta change the setting before.
I got it. I'll get him to send it to me. Sorry.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so
It's
you send
my
it to
email.
Mark, Gabriele, we're okay.
My email is in the chat. Okay, hold on one second. I gotta put the new one.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, guys. Technology
Hey,
happens. All right, the second email, swissnf.com. Please send it to me. I'll share it for you. No problem.
Okay, okay. Share it with.
Just send it to my email.
Okay, your email is.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see it, Gabriela? It's m.chan, CHAN @swissnf.com.
We go faster like this. So.
Sorry, guys.
It's technology and it happens.
No
Mhm.
problem. No panic.
Okay, tell me again. Sorry.
M.
M.
Chan, CHAN.
Yep.
German European thing. It's in their training and in their apprenticeship, and really not common in Canada or North America because of its technical
I thought so.
issues.
Yeah.
But it is a very good treatment plan. The ones I've completed on implants are very successful and still in the mouth. And so I think that's definitely something you can bring up at Spectrum Toronto. I don't think everyone can do it. Was it German? Was it on a partial Annie Chu? The actual one that was on telescopes on natural teeth?
Hey, here we go.
It was on fixed. Let's just see. No, it was a mixed full maxilla. Yeah. So, and it was on implants, or was it on natural teeth?
Is it?
It was crown teeth. So yeah, telescopic crowns are covered by the German government. So that's why telescopic dentures are kind of like a trend there, and they covered it in full. So it is definitely really awesome, but also really important to know that the patient has to come back for cleanings. I'm going to switch to my slides for a quick sec while Dr. Von Carlos sends, so we actually can get some material. It is sending now? Talk?
Yeah, tell me again your email, sorry.
Oh, m.chan @swissnf.com.
NF.
It's okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm waiting for it. So I'm going to switch to my slides for a moment, okay? Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Because I know there's people in the room that really want to hear this stuff, so I'm going to switch back to my slides. So I'll just wait for Dr. Van Carlo's slides, and I'll go back to my presentation as I wait for these slides. So I'm sharing, yeah, Tori, just to make sure we're okay here. We're okay?
Yeah, we're okay, Mark.
Yeah, okay, let me just go back to my slides. Sorry, guys. Sorry about the disorganization here. Happens. Okay, so we'll go back to the studs, the ball attachments that I was talking about here. And like I said before, most commonly they're used as donuts or O-rings. There's two sides for ball attachments. There's a 1.8 and a 2.5. These are not be able to use concurrently, but you need to make sure that you measure them correctly. The book that I'm using for reference is the Attachments International book that's long been discontinued. I will try to work on a project with Tori maybe when I have time, because I'm super busy, to republish this book and make it more updated, because I think it's a really great reference book and most denturists and techs should have it. I really hope one day we can really make that book again happen, but it's a lot of work and there's many attachments. So just remember, for you that are taking notes, is that there's a 1.8 and a 1.8 generally is for mini implants or small side balls, okay? And the other thing that Dr. Van Carlo is going to talk about is the Rhine attachments. The Rhine attachments are generally the standard 2.5 ball, and you will see them on the field because Rhine does supply these ball attachments to other companies like Zimmer, Noble Biocare, Astratech, Dentsply Sirona. So you will see these attachments not branded as Rhine, but branded by the implant company, and know that the attachment size is 2.5. And you can use these attachments, these 2.5 attachments, and they're nylon based on any 2.5 attachments. For example, this is, oh, we got the screen share. Okay, let me stop.
Yeah,
We got
sorry.
No problem. And I'm gonna
Okay.
stop mine. Sorry.
Yeah,
You got it?
here I am.
All right. Are you there?
Yeah. Am I? Okay, I'm loading. Yeah, okay.
Can we see?
No, we cannot see anything yet. We just said,
Yeah, let me
It's
just
uploading. Yeah, it's
let me-
uploading.
Let me just stop mine, guys. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, but what we was telling Mark is the beginning of the presentation
slide.
of my lecture. Yeah, because ball attachment, and I was very happy to attend that. Do you see something now?
1 second. Let me just stop mine.
Well, okay. Sorry, everyone. I love to be here, and I have loved the presentation that Alex made before, because it's what I'm talking about is exactly the complementary science that is before the digital world and the digital workflow is coming. So he talked about the future, but I would like to fix what has to be in our head and in our hand before we go to the computer to set. So first of all, we have the patient, and basically I want to give you one more reason to think, one more hint to think about before extracting a residual root. It's easy to understand when a tooth is sound and when it has to be kept in the mouth. Also when it is hopeless, or I want to talk about today is when a residual root is questionable. Shall we extract, or can we use it again in a different manner? So there are many reasons that for sure there is evidence that we have to extract this kind of teeth. So periodontal problem, fracture, lot of loss of hard tissue, or combination of all the problems, or when it is irrational to keep. That means that we have one residual root, maybe with a very angulated axis, so it's difficult to put a ball attachment over that. But remember that when we have a residual root, we still have not only the attachment, but we also have something around the root that connects the root with the bone, and it is the periodontal ligament. The periodontal ligament, also even in a root canal treated root, still have corpuscles, sensitive corpuscles like free end fibers. They are receptors that encode sense of pressure and pain, or proprioceptors like Meissner corpuscles and Ruffin receptor. These corpuscles in the periodontal ligament are very important because they give information to the brain about the position, the movement of the jaw, and the coordination of the jaw and the mandible during the function, during the chewing function. And this is a very precise and accurate and sensitive system. It can encode movement and as little as 1 or 3 microns. This means that if we can integrate these roots to our denture, to our overdenture, we are giving the denture something more, something plus, instead of just leaving the denture laying on the mucosa, on the soft tissues. And of course, when we remove a root, we lose completely this function. We lose, even if we put implants, we will never have this kind of function. So if a tooth is sound, we can keep it to give the denture this function. This is not only theory, this is literature, but we can have immediate evidence of what this does mean. For instance, if we are we okay?
Yes, everything.
Okay. Sorry.
The slides are not changing, Gabriele. The slides are not changing. We're still on the cover one.
On the cover one. Oh.
Yeah,
It just says
where it
Ryan,
says, you know,
it just
Ryan
Ryan
83.
83.
Right, what?
It just says Ryan 83.
Okay.
Non
Okay.
vediamo le immagini.
Okay. I have to do it
Okay.
on the Zoom. Okay, sorry, right on the Zoom. Okay. All right. So, okay, sorry.
Perfect. Yep.
Here
exactly.
we are. Okay, perfect. So this is what I was talking about. What is in the periodontal ligament? So these corpuscles encode the sense of pressure and movement of the mandible. So I want to give you not only information like this, but an evidence and a practical measurement of what this does mean. So if you try to bite your incisor like this, and you try to use the force, as much force as you can, you will find someone giving you a negative feedback, stopping stopping to force the bite. And this is exactly the periodontal ligament, the Meissner corpuscles coming from the periodontal ligament from the incisor and the canine. If you try to do the same with molars, you will find the opposite. You will find something forcing you to use a huge force to increase the force that you are using. This is the periodontal ligament coming from the premolar. This is the basic function that stands below the bruxism and the parfunction. And if we correctly understand how does this function, we can give our overdenture, a new function, and implement an enhanced function. So remember that tooth extraction is irreversible. Once we extract a root, we lose completely this function. So let's start with this simple first aid case. We are using. We have this patient coming in our office all of a sudden with a problem. So she had this old resin partial denture with clasps, and the problem that she complained was that the pain and movement of this crown. So we can appreciate at X-rays that there is a complete fracture of the crown, is still kept by the periodontal ligament. And what can we do? We have two options. Go in the traditional way, so remove the clamp, extract the root, and put the clamp in the next tooth. So prepare the next tooth for the next damage, for the next extraction, or save the residual root and put another system like a ball attachment over the root. So we start like this, taking the denture and giving it to the laboratory. In the laboratory, they're going to cut the clamp and add a new tooth. That is empty in the bottom. It's hollow, so we can adjust to the new ball attachment that we are placing on the residual root. We perform the endodontic treatment, and we perform not as a second choice, because this will be our main anchor point for the denture. So this is our new implant, and we fix a preformed endodontic pivot. We prepare the endodontic post space, and we taper the endodontic pivot. We taper so we don't force the endodontic space. We don't drill too much dentin. So we leave in 1/3, 2/3 of the dentin space to prevent a fracture of the root. At this point, we check the passivity of the pivot inside the root, and we can glue it in. Once we have glued it, we have our ball attachment already in the mouth, and we only need to reline, to rebase what we have back from the laboratory in the same morning. So let's say after 2 hours. And what we are doing at this point is that we have cut the crown. Actually, the patient has already cut the crown, but what we usually do is to cut by ourselves the crown, so we lower the root to crown ratio. This means that the forces that are in the game, they are lowered a lot because they are not lateral anymore, they are vertical, and they are at a lower level, so the leverage is less. This is a good benefit for the periodontal ligament because we are applying vertical force, and the periodontal ligament is made to withstand vertical forces, not horizontal forces like the clamps do. Plus, we are using elastic material. The retentive cap that we are using with the RAIN 83 system are retentive material. They use elastic materials. This means that we have less friction. They work with the compression and the compression function of the retentive attachment, the female attachment. And what does that mean? This means that they last longer. Especially what worns out is no more the metal part that it's difficult to change and to update, but what is going to worn out is the retentive part, the female, the gummy, the plastic material. It's a lot easier and less expensive to change the retentive part. At this point, once we have fixed the pivot, we reline with resin directly in the mouth, keeping attention to protect the undercuts from the resin, to avoid the resin flowing below the undercuts. So we ask the patient to close tight, and this means that we can have a perfectly resilience matched. We have a perfect match of the resilience of the soft tissues with the retentive cap. After we had the complete curing of the self-curing of the resin, we can ask the patient to open and remove the denture. At this point, we polish and clean and drill out all the resin that can get in touch with the pivot or with the root, because we don't want any rigid part to touch the pivot. What happened is that we had two huge benefits. Once, we saved a root, and second, for the patient, we have one clasp less. So also we had a good aesthetic outfit. And this patient liked this solution a lot. So she asked to do the same also with the other teeth. And in another situation, not first aid, but at this point, we could plan the rehabilitation of this patient. And what we have to do first is the diagnosis. So which teeth are hopeless, which teeth are good, and which are questionable to keep. So periodontal problem in these two teeth, irrational to keep because this incisor was so vertical, vestibularly angulated that it was useless for our purpose. It was perfectly vestibularly. This is quite a similar case like the last one that Alex showed us in the digital workflow. And I'm doing it exactly in the same way, but with an analogical, old school workflow. So first of all, perform the extraction. Sorry, the animation, the built-in animation doesn't work. I don't know why, but I think that we can perfectly understand. So extract the hopeless tooth and start to plan the occlusion, the bite record ground up, because from the beginning, because we had a complete collapse of the occlusion. So we establish again the occlusal plane with the Fox plane, according to the camper plane and to the bipupillar line. At this point, the technician gives us the temporary denture, exactly in the same procedure, empty, digged where we have to fix, to reline over the tooth, over the residual tooth. At this point, we perform the root canal therapy of the teeth that we decide to save. And after root canal therapy, we cut the crown, we perform the amputation and make the hole, the space for the post, for the pivot, and take the precision impression. Precision impression with castable pin inserted after we squeezed a flowable material, light body injection of the material into the post space, and we have the impression. At this point, the laboratory gives us back the wax wall, the wax ring. We can record more precisely the bite and the face bow. And at this point in the laboratory, they are working on the definitive denture. So this is the mock-up and the wax-up after we recorded again the bite. And we can check with the patient the function, the aesthetics, and the phonetics, the pronunciation. And the technician also can start to work on the root, on the building up, the castable pivot. With this second system, not the direct pivot that we saw in the first case, but with the casted pivot, we can make two steps forward. First of all, we cover the residual dentin, the exposed dentin. So we prevent future decays. So it's a more long-term solution. And second, we correct the axis of the root. So we put the ball attachment perfectly vertical and perpendicular to the occlusal plane. This is important to let the ball attachment last longer because they will work in the most proper way, vertically. It will save the wearing of the attachment on the side. Remember, technician, that everything must be polished except the ball attachment, because if we polish, we lose diameter and we lose retention. Once we have back the casted pivot, we can cement them and take the impression at that level. The impression with this transfer coping that has the same retentive cap, that we can clip on it and we can match with analogs that are dedicated for this kind of attachment. So at this point, the technician work at the abutment level, natural abutment level. He build up the frame and cast it. If I'm going too fast, stop me and I will stop. At this point, the technician clip on the inside the framework that will be integrated in the denture, clip on the retentive cap, and he can finish the job, and we can check with X-ray and give the patient the denture. Remember that we have a complete denture, upper and lower, because pivot doesn't allow you to reduce the volume of the denture, but give us the clipping function. So this denture is more stable, prevent the dislocation of the denture. So the denture must be designed as a proper denture. Plus, it has clipping function that avoid us to use the adhesive paste. Another situation, like the one we saw before, we had completely eroded teeth and we have lost completely the occlusal plane and the vertical dimension. So let's start recording the face bow. Let's go for with the wax up, old-fashioned, old-school wax up. But I think that today we have to know how this works in the laboratory, in the desk, and then we can put it on the computer, doing it digitally. And the technician give us back the temporary denture. In the meantime, we make the endodontic treatment, cut the crown at the soft tissue level. This is the way we have to cut the crown, following the shape of the residual ridge, so we don't have any sharp angles touching that can get in touch with the rigid part of the resin. Make the extraction of the hopeless teeth, and then we can give the patient the temporary denture. In the meanwhile, we take the impression of the lower and of the upper and of the lower jaw, and the technician build up the casted pivot. So again, we are covering the residual dentin, and we are changing the axis of the tooth. So if we have a very angulated root, we convert it. We cannot use the direct pivot, but we use the casted one. This is our STL file, the silicone mask that we put over the wax-up. This is our analog STL file that gives us the shape of the teeth and the volume, the prosthetic space that we have to fit in, where every piece that we are using has to fit in. Once we have all the pieces collected in a box, we can cement them on the mouth, the lower and the upper. We are leaving this residual root without using them, just with the proper endodontic treatment, and just to preserve the bone ridge, the residual bone ridge, to prevent resorption of the bone ridge. Again, we make a replica of the temporary denture that the patient is using, and we are going to use them as a impression tray. Impression tray exactly with the same transfer coping that we used. And at this point, we go on with the wax-up, with the casting of the metal framework, and we match the metal framework, as you can see here, with the position of the teeth coming from the wax-up, from our STL file, and then we can go for the complete final denture that we easily reline in the end in the mouth of the patient. And at this point, I recommend to do this, to reline the denture, not in the model, in the cast, in the laboratory, but to do it in the mouth. So I think it should be a clinician duty to reline this, because only the clinician can have the resilience of the gingiva or the soft tissue. So, okay, there was okay, Ettore, if you interrupt me and tell me about the question, it's better, so I can go on with the lecture.
If they come in, I will. You know, I thought Marco would do it, but here's one, okay?
Okay.
In fact, there's two of them. One is for Manujay. In the second case,
yeah,
would you use just the ball attachments without the bar, and the denture would sit on these 4 or 5 attachments?
Without a bar, you mean connecting the roots with the bar? Yeah, I prefer to separate all the residual anchor points because if a problem occurs on one root, we can extract it and we can place, let's say, an implant. If we connect them together, if a problem occurs to one piece, then all the framework, all the superstructure is involved. So we have to redo again the job.
I'll answer the second question from Hookchun.
Yep.
Answer it after. Don't worry. We'll continue because he's tight on time, guys. So I will take all the questions and I will answer them at the end. Okay, guys? I'm taking note. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mark. We are on the same
Mark, thank you.
We are on the same line. So Mark will give you all the answer.
No problem.
We are on the same line. So, okay. So once we have finished and we relined the denture exactly in the way that I showed, we can deliver the denture to the patient. So at this point, let's go using the same concept that we used for the root to the implant.
Giancarlo, I'm just going to interrupt one question just quickly.
Yep.
The question is, are we saving the roots because it's less expensive? I'm going to answer it from a technical side, and you can answer it from a doctor's side. Just because we are saving, essentially, I know in North American, traditionally, implant treatment is the most premium treatment. What I can say is because Gabriele is endodontically trained, it is not really common in North America to see this kind of root attachment work, because clinically, most clinicians think that saving a root tooth, if it's in good condition, it's better to place an implant. I cannot say clinically it can be cheaper. It can be because you're not placing an implant, but clinically you have to have a lot of skill too. So if your clinician does not have endodontic training and they're not skilled with endodontics, I can say that it can be very not successful as well. So to answer your question, Shukjun, yes, if the clinician is strong. No, if the clinician is doing it to save money only because they want to save money. I will say it like this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I am an implantologist and endodontist too. So I practice general dentistry. So I have maybe a peculiar point of view. And plus, there are patients that cannot afford implants from budget, as you said, but also for clinical or medical condition. So let's go on to use the concept. Well, if, whether you're using natural attachment or implant attachment, the concept are always the same, because we can, when we have implants, we have to face one problem. When we talk about implants, it doesn't mean that the first choice is fixed prosthesis. There are situations in which even if we can put implant, we cannot put fixed prosthesis, like for aesthetic issues like this. So in many cases, removable dentures can have a better aesthetic outfit than fixed prosthesis. Also, if we have a misplacement, a wrong position of the implant regarding the position of the tooth, and maybe it could be a better idea to make a removable prosthesis when you have a mucosal coverage or the tooth is completely placed in a different position than the implant, and we have a huge undercut, difficult to clean for the patient. Then at this point, it's better to go for a removable one. And maybe we have to think more about this and maybe convince first ourselves and then the patient that it's a better choice to go for a removable one. And at this point, the attachment that I want to use has to have a small profile, because I want, why I want a small profile? Because I want space for the prosthesis. And this is the name of this attachment is Equator, and this is the smallest in the market. I want the smallest one because I want more space for the prosthesis. This means that my prosthesis in this part is more robust. If I use a larger one, I weaken this part of the denture and a crack can occur. Plus, I leave more space also for the keratinized gingiva. And also it is hardened because it's treated with a special surface treatment that increase the hardness of the surface. So it brings to up to 1,600 Vickers. This is a Vickers scale, and how they measure the hardness of the surface. The diamond is 8,400. So we are way high than stainless steel. And this is an attachment that I used without nitrogression, without this coating, and I changed it after 2 years because it completely changed the shape. And in the end, I'm going to run because I want to show a solution to restore and renew worn out attachment. Also, this is compatible. It can be designed for every kind of implant that are in the market or that are no more in the market. I have a complete range of height that I can choose, so I can exactly use it as a healing abutment for every kind of soft tissue. I can adjust the resilience and the hardness of this retention according to the ability of the patient to remove it. And let's go to the chair side again. To use it as a director over the denture attachment, I just need the retentive, the attachment, the retentive cap, and the metal housing. So again, after we have this patient that has a complete wrong occlusal plane, and we have to plan it again from the beginning. So we reline his denture to give him a comfort, and we place implant. This implant had to be positioned very angulated, very tilted. And in this particular angulation, we had to customize the abutment. We use the stock abutment for the regular and straight implant, but we have to customize the abutment, the attachment for the angulated. In this way, exactly as we did for natural root. So we have to use the first of all, the plastic piece coming from the implant brand that you are using that fits perfectly with the analog and with the implant, and we glue them together with the attachment. And in this case, we can put with the parallelometer the attachment exactly perpendicularly to the occlusal plane. At this point, the technician gives us the wax ridge with a resin plate that is clipped to the mouth because it has a retentive attachment also. And this is completely changing. It completely changed the game because we have now at this point something fixed in the mouth. Something that is fixed and clipped in the mouth. We can remove the wax, adjust the wax directly in the mouth. On the same resin plate, the technician puts the teeth, so we can check also the wax up, and we can give the patient we can check, the wax up, the mock-up, and then we can go for the cast, exactly the same thing that we did before. So we use in the straight implant, we use the regular stock abutment. In the angulated abutment, we use the custom-made angulated implant. We use the custom-made abutment. We reline exactly in the same way as we did, directly in the mouth. And here we are. We converted a difficult case, a difficult situation where we have a very angulated implant into a regular and easy one. At this point, I come to the last topic, maybe the most important, because we have planned cases from the ground up. But I know you know that millions of implants are placed every year in the world in the mouth of the patient, and we have to face with implants already placed in the mouth that we haven't placed by previous dentists years or decades before. Have we got instruments to renew these old implants with old attachment? And one solution that we can use, one problem, sorry, these three problems are the most common that I saw encountered in my clinic: unscrewing of the repeated unscrewing, worn out attachment, and unknown implant. So to prevent unscrewing, we have a system that consists in putting a plastic insert inside the tip of the screw, and we will see how it works. So let's say that we have a completely worn out attachment, and we can replace it, asking the company, Rain 83, to insert this plastic clip that prevents the self-unscrewing of the abutment. Again, I cannot consider this a failure, but this is a success of a dentist that put this implant 25 years before, and it lasted so much that the attachment completely went worn out. So I want to renew this. The implant is in perfect good condition, and I want to renew. The patient is asking me how to renew this. I simply unscrew, give this to the company, and the company gives me back the attachment brand new with the plastic pin anti-unscrewing system. If I cannot unscrew, I can use this solution. So I have a reconstructive sphere that is empty inside, and the diameter is the standard diameter. So 2.5. So if I have an abutment like this and I want to renew this, I just simply need to drill out the remaining attachment, check if it fits perfectly all the way down, then put some glue on the tip, on the hollow body of the ball attachment, empty ball attachment, and I made it completely new, brand new. So I simply reline again the denture over the natural attachment. If I have these two roots restored by me 10 years ago, they are still working. I consider this a success because they are still working. They are still in good condition. And the warning out of the erosion of the ball attachment testified the witness the duration of the roots, and I want to save them. So drill out, check the fit, glue a new hollow reconstructive sphere, and reline. Watch this picture. When you reline a denture over implant, over teeth, use this technique to be sure that you are not overloading the root or the implant. Use some toothpaste on the spherical, on the retaining attachment. Sorry, I'm coming.
I'll just fill in for him. He's using toothpaste as fit checker, which is a great tip because it's easy to clean for the root attachment. You can also use this for your other attachment cases.
Sorry.
I'm back. All right, I filled in for you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, this is very important. As far as you have a stain of toothpaste in the denture, then you have to remove and drill out. So you remove as much as you need, not more, not less. At this point, we reline the denture, and that's all. Another situation, one-piece implant, they worn out, but you cannot replace at all because you cannot screw, and a natural tooth. So exactly in this way, in the same way, you can, these two one-piece implant, mini implant, they are lasting since 25 years. What to do? The patient is asking for a solution. The solution there is drill, check the fit of the hollow reconstructive sphere, and cement and glue it, and then reline exactly as we did. And we make it completely new. Last but not least, another situation, we had this hybrid prosthesis, and after 25 years, the attachment was worn out. What to do? Exactly the same thing. Reline, apply the hollow reconstructive sphere, and then reline the hybrid prosthesis. At this point, I come with the last, but most important, I think, what to do with unknown implant. What can we do? Can we manage to treat this kind of situation? We have this implant in the mouth of the patient placed in 1996. We don't know what implant is this. We take the impression. And the company give you back an attachment customized, exactly the same connection of the implant that you want. You can have also a connection like Corement connection, Conomorse connection, and external hexagon connection. With this, sorry if I was in a hurry, if I rushed too much. With this, I end up. I really thank you for listening. I hope it was useful. I hope it will be useful in your practice. And I say hello. I kindly ask Mark to answer the question.
No problem.
And thank you for inviting me. Hope
Thank
to
you.
be more relaxed next time.
Gabriele,
Yes,
I would like to thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mark anyways, but I would like to thank you very much. I know, and I wanted to explain to these guys, he's from Italy. There's a show in Tunisia. He's the keynote speaker in Tunisia, but he carved out the time for us. So really, it was really, I mean, there's a first comment there from Anichu goes, this was really excellent. Thank you. So I thank you for carving the time, Gabriele. I'm sure we'll publish some articles, and I'm sure we'll work with Julian and Nico to bring you to Canada. And I thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay. It will be awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mark,
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, Gabriele.
Ciao.
Okay, guys. So thank you for your patience in the beginning. I think Ettori's still here. Are you still here, Ettori?
Yeah, I'm always here, Mark. That's my life, you know.
I know.
Yeah, you know, like we had issues because at one point he didn't want to cancel. I said, you know, Mark can do it on his own yesterday, and he said, no, I really want to do it. And then he realized that there's Tunisia and Italy have 1 hour difference.
I know. I was so scared. I was like,
then I had to beg. I didn't beg, but I asked very nicely Dominic Babinski to change things. But it's worked out, and everybody likes it. And even I tell you, that toothpaste thing was enough for me. Like, it's really a good thing.
I'm going to use it. It's really good, actually.
Mark, I got a question, and then you go on. Do a lot of people phone Julian or you, not knowing what implants they're working on?
So that's a resource that Julian's always built his company on. That's from Julian's dad's days, Carl Kempnick. Yeah, we get that as a service a lot. And I think we're one of the few companies that has the knowledge and experience to do that. And if we don't have it, we definitely have a team. Our counterparts in the US can help us too. So for the in the room, and I'm just letting you know because most people don't know, the younger ones especially, Swiss Knife Metals doesn't just sell components. We also help with case planning too, Julian and myself, as a permanent team member now. If you send me a text message with an x-ray, some cases take longer than others, especially with foreign implants being placed. But most of the time we can help you get the parts. And now coupling with companies like Ryan, who are also understanding that we service different implants, like Dr. Van Carlo said, sometimes implant companies go out of business and we still need to make restorations for these patients. We know that companies like Ryan will even make custom parts for your cases. So they know that they're not just a money-making company. Ryan 83 is a family-owned business with a lot of speakers and very focused in education. So to answer your question directly, Ettore, yes, we get phone calls every day, both from technicians, denturists, doctors, specialists, and it is a free resource for everyone in this room. So please feel free to reach out. Don't try to do these cases on your own and try to get help when you don't know, because it's a free resource. You there, Ettore?
I'm here. I'm
Oh.
here. I'm listening to you, Mark. Yeah,
Yes.
it is a family. I was thinking, the whole thing, like, I mean, dental is small and
Yep.
we are a family. Like, I feel like Julian is part of my family. I mean, we were invited to Carl's, 60th wedding anniversary.
Mhm.
I hang around with you. I go for breakfast every month with Dominic Babinski.
Yep.
Really, it is a family and we get along. And I miss you guys when I don't see you too. So I think that's a secret of success too, Mike.
The other
You
thing I
wanna
can
say-
say, which was a comment that was said in the room, I feel that root attachments and these attachments, if you can see, Dr. Van Carlo has a very heavy foundation in analog clinical skills in endodontics. He's not just placing implants for every case. What I can say from my clinical practice, I'm not a doctor, guys, but I've been doing this for a little bit, not a long time, but a little bit. And sometimes placing implants may not always be the solution. Because just ramming implants in there because the doctor said that's going to fix everything may not fix the problem. And we do see these cases every day, both me, Julian, and even other companies like Central Dental who are dealing with braid end attachments. But it's nice to know that if you see on the clinical side, what he said in the beginning is really important. He said, yes, digital is there. And he also does digital cases too, Dr. Van Carlo, but his foundation in analog is very strong, both clinically for dentistry, that is placing implants, but also in endodontics. So he's very trained in all aspects of dentistry. Just because you place implants doesn't mean you know anything about dentures. And that's something I can share with you, to the denturists in the room that are building young relationships with their doctors now. Yes, guys, I get it. We need our surgeons to place implants for us, but they also need us to finish dentures for them because patients paid for teeth, not for implants. Okay, so just make sure that you're a very important part of the team. You're not just a denturist anymore.
Mike, I like this comment. I think Julian wants to say a few words, but I like this comment from Joey De La Marina, who always, I love them, when we used to have the meetings at Central Dental. And I remember once we had a prosthodontic, a very high-end prosthodontic, Mark Lynn, okay? And then he finished, Joey had a presentation, he finished, or he was asking questions. And then Mark Lynn, said to me, goes, I can't believe how much that guy knows. And now Joey just commented here, said, such quality education, Ettore. This is what we're all about. Yes. And when it's recognized by people that value education, that makes my day. Julian, what do you want to say, Julian?
Just going to answer the last question there for Carlos Zanin. My favorite blockout material for underneath the ball is Teflon tape, plumber's tape. Teflon tape, I wrap it around the ball, and then I cut a little piece. It's very thin, so it won't lift up the bite. And that's Teflon tape, Carlos Zanin. And go ahead, Julian.
Yeah, no, that actually works out quite well. We've recommended many things to block out ball underneath so we don't lock in the case. But I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. It was a great educational day. Thank God Ryan came out. They have a really strong team out there for lecturing, and hopefully we can dig a little deeper into their educational forum towards us. And me and Mark are trying to work on doing education at the George Brown and Nate and some of the schools too in the future. Right, trying to educate them with
We're gonna try, Carlo. Joe, we're gonna try to unite. The schools. And we're gonna bring. I think we have the right people that are, that they're willing to give, so we can get, George Brown to work with Eduard Montpetit and with Nate and so on and so forth, because they are quality people. When I do, and I trust them, when I do my Spectrum Day Edmonton, I don't hire any staff. I run it with Nate's students. And these guys are so serious, it's unbelievable. It's like, they report at a time where they have to do the job. They do the on time, on schedule. It's unbelievable, So
No, it's good. But also
content.
now that we can do webinars, right? I mean, the problem is to bring somebody like from Italy in, or like Michael Sherry, and they're too busy. They have way too many things going on, but they can secture out 2 hours to do a webinar. You know what I mean? They can figure that part out. It's to get them live in person becomes a problem. But if we can still run stuff through,
and we can, Mark,
our Zooms.
Dude, we can do it. We can try to do it once a year for the big event. Like for Spectrum Day Toronto, we can, we will find them. I'm telling you.
They'll come up for that. But I'm even looking at trying to do webinars for.
No, on a regular basis, it's impossible. Having said that, Joe, we're looking at because there's so much demand for education. Okay, Mark. And we're looking at all the rooms at Spectrum Day Toronto. There's no other hotel in Toronto that will take us in. We're the largest. Okay. The next step would be the Congress, the convention center.
Convention center.
So we're looking at the room last year, and I was talking to Bahar, and I go, "How am I going to get more space? Everybody wants to have speakers." I said, and Bahar said, "Well, some rooms you can cut in half, okay, and put chairs about." He goes, "But don't cut Mark Chan's room, because his room was packed in the Denturists side and his room was packed on the technical side." So kudos for you, man.
Just a side note, guys, for the room. I know before we lose any members, because we're going to go into the next lecture, I also want to thank Dominic Babinski from Den Plus for letting me take his spot. I really appreciate that, guy. I know you didn't have to, so really appreciate your time and letting me take your spot, man. So thank you. And for the guys that are in the room that are denturists, like you said, guys, I'm a denturist and I like my own thing, guys. So I try to bring things that I think could be useful to you. There's a bunch of young denturists in the room and seasoned denturists, my colleagues and friends. Please send an email to Ettore and tell him what you guys want to see. I can put what I like to see, but not everyone likes what I like because I'm a dental nerd. So are there more basic things you guys want to see? Are there things that you want me to focus on as education? Because I can definitely reach out to these speakers, guys, but I just wanted to give you that we do have this resource for you guys. I just don't know what to get. So as people in the audience, if you like this style of lecture, I know it was a rough start, but you want more of this style, then maybe I'll bring more of this style, because I know people are sick and tired of listening to me talk. So you guys let me know, send Ettore a message, I'll talk with Julian, and I'll try to bring this to you guys, because it's something, like Ettore said, I think education is really important, and I don't know what you guys want as denturists out there.
We'll do surveys, Mark, and we'll
Please.
do it. They can talk to you directly. They can talk to Julian. I talk to Julian twice a day, sometimes more. So the information would funnel through. And yes, we got to give the people what they want to hear. It's really extremely important. And then Carl, when I'm stumped, I talk to Carlos Zanon. He's my editor. He's been the editor, since I started Spectrum Denturism. Our quality in content is beautiful. I talk to Deepak. I talk to all you guys. And it's interesting, Mark, because when I received that honorary degree from George Brown, these guys at the college level follow the progress and what we do. So and even the chancellor asked me, goes, "Are you going to do a digital summit too?" Because COVID stuff. We did it once; it was a huge success. And I said, "We're going to plan, but I need to talk to the companies." But anyway, it's really, really great, to have support. I know I can count on Julian. I can count on you. I can count on a lot of people, and that is the beauty of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on now to a topic that I really like. Dominic Babinski, can you please sign in? Drew, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
I like that. This attitude, that was seriously fantastic. World class. Yes, we love that. We love that, and we'll continue to do it, guys. We'll continue to do it.
Thanks, Dom. Thanks, Dominic. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
See you.
Yeah, there's my friend Dominic Babinski.
Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you and I can see you, Dom.
Oh, okay. I can't see myself. That's really bothering me.
Okay.
We'll figure it out here.
Okay.
Speaker.
Have you shared the screen?
Not yet. Oh,
Okay.
there I am. Oh my God. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. So you know what,
Um,
Dom, I gotta turn it over to you. Just like I
Okay.
mean, again, I would like to thank Dominic and them plus. I mean, the companies today that have really helped. I mean, I got another a comment saying this was seriously fantastic, world class. Yes, it's the companies that do it. So you have UDS, you have Dominic and them plus, and you have Mark Chan and Swiss and F, and the reach that we have. Like it's unbelievable. A topic that is dear to me is business. Okay, I just like business, and sometimes I don't like when people say, "Well, like I'm not in sales." No, you are in sales. We're all selling, guys, all the time. I sell myself to Dominic to make him accept a presentation, and Dominic, sells himself, to somebody else, and the manager. We're selling all the time, and there's some key aspect of business that are really important, and marketing is extremely important. Okay, so I'm glad I tell you something, a comment. We had a previous marketing, because I have a weakness, like I said, to do a presentation on marketing, and man, it was painful because I went back to school. I have a business degree. I have an advanced marketing diploma. I have an MBA. It was painful for me to listen to this presentation. And then, the worst thing was, one guy asked, well, if you go to this office, because there was also marketing from the clinic to the dentist. If you go to the dentist, how do you get their attention, to bypass the lady that usually doesn't let you in? And this guy, he was serious, okay? Like he was my presenter. He goes, well, I sit in the waiting room, and every time the doctor goes from one clinic to another, I go, psst, psst, to get his attention. And I said to myself, man, is this painful? So learning to the actual marketing component of a practice, it's really important. Knowing the key performance indicator, key financial indicators, strategies. We will work that for next year. But today I'm very happy to have Dominic Babinski here. We go way back. He brings a lot of experience because hang on, because he has a different level. He's been marketing manager of different of other companies. He's been, he was in charge of a very reputable lab in Toronto. So he's an accountant. So he knows what he's talking about. And he's just now VP of Business and Development of the Dem Plus Inc., a company that is based in Montreal but does business across Canada. So I gotta thank you, Dominic. I'm sure you probably say, look, don't take much more of my time because I have a presentation to do. So I'll turn it over and I will listen, Dom. Thank you, buddy.
all right. Thanks, Ettore. If there's any issues with sound or whatever, please, jump in the chat or, pipe in audio wise. So I'll leave my camera on for a little bit here just to make a little personal connection. But I'll turn it off shortly. So anyhow, this subject matter is pretty deep, and we're really just going to be scratching the surface today. But thank you, everybody. And I know it's Saturday, and I know it's a beautiful day in a lot of places, and a lot of people, including myself, would like to get out and to do some stuff today. So I'll just shut down the camera here, and let's move on. So I took a quick look through the list of participants, and there's a lot of familiar names there. But just for the benefit of those who may not know my history, I've been in the business 30 years. I've done a lot of different things in the dental industry, and worked for a number of different companies, which has really given me a broad flavor for what a denturist lives through on a day-to-day basis. So, but I've also worked in large organizations in my career, and that's afforded me a different view than what I've had in the dental industry, which is typically smaller companies. But seeing how big companies operate. And what I've learned is that whether you're a big company, whether you're a small company, everybody's always starved for resources. You'd think that, you know, Rogers would, if you that work there, that there's unlimited resources. There's not. Doesn't matter how big you are. There's always a challenge for resources. And that's a huge takeaway. So I've recently moved to Den Plus, as some of you may know, where I've have some new responsibilities. And when I'm out so far talking about Den Plus, I really have three reactions. You know, one is, sure, you know, I buy these one or two things from you. The second one is, yeah, I've heard of Den Plus. That kind of ends right there. And then the third is, Den Plus, do you mean Dentsply? So the recognition factor for Den Plus is not quite where it needs to be, which is one of the reasons I'm around. And if you're in category 3, don't feel bad. You're certainly not alone. So I will humor me, if you humor me for a sec, I just do want to go over a couple things about Den Plus, and this will be the only marketing that I'm going to do today. So company was established 27 years ago, so it's been around a long time, based in the Montreal area and active across Canada, as Tori just mentioned. And we're a full service supplier to denturists and dental laboratories. And, you know, anything that Zahn or UDS or Central offers, effectively, we have the same. So one of the things I do like to point out is we're trying to be somewhat eco-responsible. We don't have a printed catalog. The best place to find out about all the product options that we have is through our website, which is actually quite a good website, all things considered. If you know, I encourage you to take a look at it. The information is organized in a couple different ways. You can see the full range of product options based on the application of the usage. You can search based on categories of products, but either way, you can drill down into more specifics about products. And I've just got this up here because a lot of people know about Den Plus from the acrylics. This is how the company started. One of the owners is a chemist, and all of the Den Plus acrylics are actually manufactured in Montreal. Canadian product, Canadian manufacturing. So that's a good story. Now, I encourage you to create an account, because if you create an account, which is a very simple process of just giving us a little bit of information about you, what you then have access to is pricing. And so you can look at all the pricing on our website if you have an account created. And you can also do shopping through our site. And a lot of people find that convenient. So if you find yourself distracted or you need a little mental break during this presentation, then how about just heading over to our site and creating an account? And also tooth ordering is very easy through our site. It's done through simple matrix like this, where you can just simply click and then order the items that you want. So for those who like online stuff, we're fully set up for that. All right, that's my marketing for the day. So the good news is, aside from that little segment, I'm really here to share ideas with you, and that's about it. You can either.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yes.
Do you want me to ask the questions as they come in, or you want to wait until the end?
Why don't you ask them as they come in?
Okay, thank you.
All right. So I'm a big reader. I have been for a long time. I think that if you are a business person, which we all are, and we're human beings, which we all are, it's important to read and fill your mind with interesting ideas. And so this is just a kind of a random selection of some books that I've read over the years that address things like they're very specific with regards to sales and marketing, that are more general with regards to business, that are maybe about they're more motivational. So there's all kinds of stuff you can read. I have a psychology degree, so I'm very interested in how the mind works and how silly humans behave. So that's good stuff. If there's two books that I can really recommend, they're kind of the very, very top of my list. Very classic stuff, and kind of timeless in terms of the quality of the information. First, on the right-hand side is the influence, the psychology of persuasion. It's really about the understanding how we are.
Yeah,
Yes.
your slides are now moving.
Oh, they're not moving
No,
at all.
no, we're still stuck in marketing principle for Denturists.
Oh my God. Oh, zoom, eh?
Yeah. Can you
Wow.
click on the slides and see if you can move them that way? No.
That's the only way I'm going to be able to do it.
Okay, that's it. Now we see them now.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you should have jumped in earlier.
I didn't want to disturb you too much. You went back to the beginning now, Dom.
Well, I know I have to because I've just, I had all kinds of visual stuff going on here. I thought we tested this out the other day and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Sorry, guys. Let's just do this. How do I make this go away on the left? You don't need to see the whole thing.
You make it full screen, it will disappear. No, make it full screen.
Yeah. I'm trying to do that slideshow. It's not a show. It's the see, now I'm getting, now you're seeing me deal with my emotions, getting frustrated.
Frazzled.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get rid of this section over here on the side. Thank you for your patience, everyone. And I'm used to, this funny thing is I was using Keynote because and I went over to the PowerPoint. If anybody happens to know, please jump in. Let's check the chat.
F12 should be for the full screen, Dom.
Yeah, but guess what I'm using? I'm using a Mac. So,
you know what, Dom? You can just click on the side and push the.
All right. We'll see if we can figure that out. Anyhow, so yeah, let's just not go through too many things here. Let's just whatever. Website, guys, please take our website, open up an account. Ordering is easy, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some books that we can, if you want to take a look at that. Boy, I'm really annoyed by this. I'd love to get rid of it. View, outline, normal, slide master. Oh boy, close the master. Humor me for a second here, because otherwise I will, I'm gonna kind of make myself crazy here. Normal. All right, I will move on here. Okay, so as I was talking about books, there's two books that I really recommend, or these two books here, if you're just looking at reading. One is Influence, Psychology of Persuasion. Excellent book that talks about basically influencing people, and not in a negative way, of course, all in a positive way. But what are those factors that are at play when people are being influenced? And as clinicians, you are influencing people all the time. And if you understand the mechanisms of influence, you, quite frankly, will be a better clinician. The other book that's a great one is called To Sell Is Human, The Surprising Truth About Moving Others. And one of the fundamental premises of this book is that everyone is selling. Everyone is in sales. Everyone is selling. Very critical notion to I think, adopt mentally, that to accept that you are in sales to a very large degree. So my objective today is to help you guys have a better understanding of marketing principles, and help you attract new customers, improve your patient and customers' patience, improve patient loyalty, increase revenues, and generally feeling better about yourself. The more that you have a grip on your marketing, quite honestly, the better you're going to feel about how you're managing and running your business. So this really is, to a large degree, about feeling better about yourself. So also recognizing that in the audience today, there's going to be a variety of participants. There's going to be practice owners, there's going to be associates, there's going to be technical employees, there's going to be people who aspire to be practice owners. And so I understand that everyone's coming with a slightly different perspective. I was looking through the list and I see that there's even a few dental technicians there. And so this presentation is through the lens of a denturist practice. But you know, a lot of the notions apply broadly to other fields as well, and in dental and anything for that matter. So denturist practices are small businesses. That's a reality. There's not a lot of people who work in a denturist practice, even the very largest ones by all measures. And so I do recognize that you know, when we talk about marketing, probably the number one sort of points of contention is that people feel like they just don't have time for it. They're challenged for resources, and this, you know, it's true. But you know, you need to still create that focus for the sake of your business, at least in most cases. So the other thing I want to just say before we get a little bit deeper here is that this is really scratching the surface. The content of you know, of this, even looking at marketing specifically, could be you know, a matter of like days if you really wanted to dig in hard into everything. So please, you know, I'm using a lot of simplified concepts today, and you want to make sure that before you do anything, that you've really made sure that it is appropriate for your particular situation. So one of the questions I like to ask, you know, is denturism a profession or a business? And we can sort of think about that for a second. You know, is it a profession or a business? And in fact, it's kind of a trick question because it's both, right? You know, it can be both. It can be a profession or a business. But sometimes, not always, but sometimes I've seen a mindset that because you are clinicians, that there's sometimes a point of view of rejecting the business side of the equation, and I think it's very important not to. You can be a clinician. You know, you're taking care of people, you're taking care of patients, but you are also running a business at the same time. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. The other question to ask is, and this is starting to get more into the heart of the matter, is, do you define what you do but as a function of what you do technically or what you accomplish in your work? And let me give you a couple of examples. Again, it's to start getting you into a certain frame of mind as we have this conversation. But, you know, we say, well, what is a denturist? You know, the answers could be varied. You could say, well, a denturist is, you know, I make dentures. That's what I do as a denturist. Or you could have another approach, which would be more about maintenance of oral health. Or perhaps you could be more aligned with an aspect of creating confidence with your patients. Maybe it's both. or you really could be looking at more about health and longevity. So this is the difference between thinking about what you do technically versus what you accomplish through what you do as a professional, as a clinician. Now, so before we talk marketing specifically, because we'll be talking specifically about marketing ideas, we really need to talk about this notion of mission, vision, and values. You know, I'm separating it from marketing, but it's really, because it is technically separated, but it's really intimately related to marketing. And this whole idea of mission statements and vision statements and like documenting your values as an organization, as a company, it's very popular, it's very well applied, but there's still a lot of resistance to the idea of doing it. But it's still important. So let's take a look at it. So, you know, what is a mission statement? A mission statement is quite simply, ideally, a one-sentence statement describing the reason your organization exists, meaning what you do, which is used to guide priorities, activities, and responsibilities. So the statement itself actually helps to direct your activities. And that's why it's actually important to come up with it. And the most motivating mission statements provide a sense of purpose. I think it's very important takeaway here is we're thinking about mission statements. We want them to be infused with some sort of sense of purpose because they become much more motivating at that point. So we can take a look at some examples of what are considered to be globally some of the best mission statements out there. And we'll just take a look, you know, you can read as we're going through here. And there's some that are more straightforward. Like if we take trip advisors, their mission is to help people around the world plan and have the perfect trip. Nice and simple, very direct. And then we can go into things that are a little bit more inspirational, like JetBlue, for example, to inspire humanity both in the air and on the ground. Now, that's a very lofty mission statement, and it's not for us to judge whether, you know, they're aspiring for too much, but the point of a mission statement is to give something, is to give a purpose. And so if JetBlue is really within their organization culturally to really live this very aspirational mission statement, then so be it, good for them. But these are ideas of what a mission statement can be. It really should be pretty short and snappy. Oops, let's go in this direction. So I've, to make it more real, this is an actual mission statement from a denturist practice that is not called Gummy Smile Denture Clinic, but I simply changed the name. But the rest is an actual mission, the actual mission statement from a denture clinic's website. So good for them. They have actually made the effort to create a mission statement. That's a great start. But unfortunately, they've got off track in terms of like what the quality of a mission statement should be. This one's just quite simply too long and too kind of broad in certain ways, kind of misses the mark. This is another one that I've also taken off a website, changed the name again, called it Crooked Smile Denture Clinic. So it's getting a little bit closer, but a little bit, again, too wordy in terms of the mission statement. They kind of tried to finish it off there, that last line here at Crooked Smile Denture Clinic. It's not about quantity, but quality. I don't, you know, that's an attempt, not really successful in my opinion, but still an attempt. And then there is Silly Smile Denture Clinic. Again, these are actual mission statements with the names changed to protect the innocent. And this one gets a little bit more to the point in terms of the purpose and really, you know, being aspirational, right? You know, our ultimate objective is to help our patients fulfill their desires in order to improve the quality of their lives educate them about their individual condition, etc. Okay, so this starts to get more to the mark. And so what I've done is I've proposed what their mission statement could be if it was nice and short and snappy. Helping patients fulfill their desires in order to improve the quality of their lives. And that's the idea, is to condense your mission statement down to something that's more boiled down, ideally one sentence, that is very simple to understand and interpret. And so, why are all these things important? It's because they provide orientation, like a compass for your business. And when it comes to making certain decisions, your mission and your values and your vision will help you decide whether you should or should not be doing certain things. If actions, and if we take the example here of Silly Smile, if decisions that you're making, that practice would make, are not supportive of this mission statement, then they shouldn't be doing them. And so mission statements are important, again, because they are like a compass for your business. All right. So we also want you to think about in the context of mission, because it's, coming up with a mission statement forces you to start thinking about, well, what are your ambitions? What is it that you want to accomplish? And I would imagine that there's generally not a lot of thought that's given to this sort of question. You make a choice at a certain point to become a denturist. Okay, that's a particular ambition, but it's pretty broad, right? And then you get into practice, and then you maybe just get kind of like pulled into the stream, and off you go, and you're not maybe feeling like you've got a lot of direction going. So you need to think about, when you're thinking about your mission, what are your ambitions? What do you want to do? What do you want to be, personally, professionally, and so on. And then you ideally want to make sure that you're following passions. I've been in this business long enough to know that unfortunately, dental professionals, whether denturists or dentists or dental technicians, regardless, we're all human. We all find ourselves there. But unfortunately, too many times people end up in a place where they just don't really like what they do. And so, think about that, right? Are you doing the kind of things that you're really passionate about? Because these are the foundational pieces of marketing. You want to have a good focus of where you're going. You want to understand what that is. You want to feel passionate about it. Otherwise, it's easy to become directionless. And then lastly, thinking about inspiration, it goes hand in hand, but what inspires you? What are those things that inspire you? If you can be working, most of the time on things that inspire you and you're passionate about, then that's all good for obvious reasons. So let's talk a little bit about marketing and talk about a structure that is a classic one. This is taught, everywhere in marketing programs. But to understand, really talking about the 4 Ps of marketing and marketing mix, and which is going to give you a structure that you can follow to create the right strategy and tactics for you for where you want to go in your practice. So the classic 4 Ps of marketing are product, place, price, and promotion. And they're all designed to work together to help you get to your target market. And that's, again, something that a lot of people maybe don't necessarily think enough about, is to even think about, well, what is your target? Who do you want your patients to be? And so let's dig into that a little bit more. But marketing mix is really, think about it as making chocolate chip cookies. So you're going to make chocolate chip cookies, and you've got flour and chocolate chips and maybe some butter and maybe a few ingredients that a few other ingredients you might want to use, and you mix them all together and they turn into chocolate chip cookies. You transform them in a certain way. But if there was only one way to make chocolate chip cookies, then why would there be so many different types of chocolate chip cookies? You have very similar ingredients, if not exactly the same ingredients. They can vary a little bit, but why do they all taste so different? And so it's this notion that you can have slightly different ingredients that will all come together for a slightly different outcome based on your particular situation. So the notion of 4 P's of marketing has expanded over the years into to be more all-encompassing and to capture elements that are also considered part of the marketing mix. And so in addition to product, price, and promotion, we're adding we're adding some other P's. So we're adding process, physical environment, and people to the elements of the marketing mix. And so what we're going to do for the rest of the presentation is go into these individual elements as it could be relevant to a denturist practice, and help you get a better understanding of what you need to be thinking about for each of these elements. Again, the whole idea being is that you are going to customize a mix for your practice of these 7 elements that's going to all work together to help you get to your target market. So we need to talk about target market because, and by the way, this slide does shows a little bit of the sub elements of those elements, the larger elements of all the different P's that would normally be considered within those. So let's talk about target market because it's important, right? You have to first decide who your target market is going to be before you start doing marketing. I know it might seem like an obvious thing, but I think sometimes people do marketing and don't really know who it is that their market is. So what are the ways that you can define your target market? So one of them is geographically. So you could think about it. And by the way, it's not just one way. You could have multiple approaches here. And I see a spelling mistake here. Let's fix that line. So geographically is one way to look at it. You could say, well, my target market is going to be anybody who's breathing in this geographical area. Or you could think about it more from a demographic point of view. You could say, okay, well, not just people who are breathing in this geographical area, but people who maybe have a certain income range or a certain age range or a certain ethnicity or gender, even, why not? Or some sort of combination of all of that. You might be layering into that some notion of specialty, where you might, for example, say, I really want to be involved as much as possible in implant-based clinical work. Perhaps there's philosophy of practice that would apply to that. And you might also think about your market situationally. So, there are mobile dentures, there's some that focus on nursing homes, some that are focused on working in dental practices strictly. You don't have a clinic of your own and you move from dentist practice to practice. And there's no right or wrong in any of this. There's no one target market that necessarily is going to be better than the other, but it's a matter of making sure that it's very clear in your mind who it is that you're trying to reach as a patient. So let's then move on to the next P, to the first P, sorry. After we've defined a target market, well, we now need to think about the different P's. So let's look at products. So what products will you offer? Now, I'm guessing that there's a lot of denturists that don't even really probably think about things in that way in terms of the products. I mean, what do you mean exactly products? And it's important because you are offering products, believe me. And the more you think about it as products, the easier it is, I think, is going to be to make this whole marketing mix come together. All right, so we'll talk about differentiation, and because I think one of the challenges might be to say, well, you know, aren't we really kind of doing the same thing? Like, I'm in an area, I'm kind of doing the same thing as the other person, and so, you know, I'm not really all that different. And what's going to make me different is maybe things that are more touchy-feely, like I'm nicer, or, you know, whatever it is. So how are the ways that you can differentiate? And I think you want to think about that as a as any business, but certainly from a denturist practice. So the ways, and these are not exhaustive lists, these are ways to think about how you might differentiate. But certainly one of the ways that you can differentiate from another denturist practice, because let's face it, that's who you're differentiating with, is other denturist practices, is your choice of materials. Perhaps you decide to say, you know what, we're going to have a certain focus as a practice that's more, you know, material based, which perhaps we spin into a quality conversation. Maybe you're involved in more specialty activities. And I touched earlier on implantology. That's just one example. Maybe you put a focus more on guarantees versus, you know, versus what other people are offering. And also importantly, and you'll have a better feel for this as we move in further into the conversation, is, and I think there's a way to really differentiate yourself, not necessarily based on a hard product, but more so on the processes and the people, and maybe promotions, or the way you promote, because they're two different things. These things can really help you differentiate as well, not just product. So we'll take a further look at that. So one of the things I like to encourage people to think about is how you might be segmenting your products and your services. So are you differentiating for example, the dentures that you provide? And I think most people are, in terms of an economy denture and a premium denture and so on. But also think about ways that you can segment your offerings into different options. So for example, you could have you know, a denture with reinforcements included, as an example, or maybe you're focused more on specialized processes like the BPS system or the suction denture and things like that. Again, maybe you're focused on, you want to be focused on dentures. And then we also, you know, touch on the whole digital denture world. And that's, of course, it's just a subject of, like, from a technical point of view, a subject of a conversation itself that's very long. But that's certainly a way that you could differentiate your products from other denturist products. You know, is a denture a denture a denture? I don't think that anybody really believes that. But from the point of view of a patient, how do they know that a denture isn't a denture, that there's a lot more involved with it? So one of the ways that, and you know, again, digital dentures could be a way to differentiate. I'm not saying that it is right for everybody, and a whole other conversation, but that's something that you could consider. The other thing that I think is important to think about in regards to the product conversation is, in what ways are you making yourself and or your team part of the product solution? Meaning, to what extent are you the product? And do your patients appreciate and understand that aspect? And that would have to do with things like promoting continuing education or courses or things that you've done that differentiate, that separate you. Once again, I know that a lot of you are aware of these types of things, but again, it's important to remind yourself, because we can all get lost in the day-to-day, is that part of what people are buying is your expertise, your knowledge, and how is that being communicated and transmitted to your patients. So let's move on to price. The next P of the 7 Ps is price. So I see that I'm just going to jump and take a look at the question here. Okay, there's no question, nothing in the chat. That's great. So let's look at price. If I can get the slide to advance. Okay, so the question is, how are you determining your prices? And so, I think it's we probably have denturists attending from different provinces today, and we know that the rules are different in every province. And so there's some things that you may be able to do in some places that you're not able to do in others. I also appreciate that things are often fee guide driven. So how much room do you have? But if you do have room, are you taking advantage of that room that would be available to charge more than fee guide, for example? Are you positioning your practice as capable of doing that? Now, insurance will always play into things as well, as we all know, and what's covered and not covered, and how much is covered and whatnot. But there's a great expression that I heard years ago. It applied to dentistry, but it applies to dentures as well. And there's that question that comes, that asks is, are you treating the patient or are you treating the plan? And I think it's a great question for a bunch of different reasons. But at the end of the day, if you are restricting what can be offered to the patient as a function of what the plan covers, then perhaps that's not the ideal approach. And so again, a lot of nuances in there, but there's some things to think about with regards to pricing. But once again, if we take a step back, the idea is at least to be thinking about, okay, do you have a pricing strategy? Is it anything beyond, well, the fee guy says this is what I charge, so that's what I charge. And so give that some thought. And the other point to think about is with regards to your margins. Do you know how much money you're making for the different services that you're providing, or the products or services? Again, they're kind of interchangeable. But do you know how much money you make when you fabricate a complete upper denture? If you don't, then it's not ideal, because you want to have an understanding of where your revenues are coming from. So another thing to think about, right, is the importance of understanding, and this is related to pricing, is, are you charging enough, for example, and making enough to make it sustainable to do what you're doing. All right, so just a nice quote that I like here from an author, Seth Godin. Low price is the last refuge of the marketer with nothing left to say. And just in defense, nobody likes a race to the bottom. And the people that are going low, usually there's not a lot there to offer other than a low price. And so something to reflect on. All right, the next P in the 7 Ps is place. Pretty straightforward for denturists, but really the idea with regards to place is your physical location, because in the case of a denturist practice, we're talking about physical location. In the case of business, some businesses, we're not talking about a physical location, it's a different paradigm. But with a denturist, we're really talking about physical location. But that P, that place, is important. You know, you need to be located where your target market can get access to you. And that can come down to like some simple things that are, you know, just if you have a lot of elderly patients that have a difficult time getting around, and your clinic is on the second floor of a building that doesn't have an elevator, then that could be problematic. Could be obvious, but that's the idea. All right, so next P in the 7 Ps is physical environment. Once again, we're looking at all these elements of the marketing mix that come together. And so let's talk about physical environment. And so the question you want to ask yourself is whether your clinic is reflecting the image that your target market is expecting to encounter as it interacts with you. And my experience is that most denturists do a good job with this, but it's certainly something that you need to be aware of, the physical environment. And is your physical environment, all of the physical environment, reflecting, you know, what you want it to reflect, and is it helping to support the patient experience that you're trying to create? You know, we can sort of talk about curb appeal. You know, does your practice have curb appeal when the patients walk up to that front door or through the front door or whatever it is? What's their experience? It all starts there and then continues, you know, throughout the rest of the practice. So these are all things to think about. They're related to the physical environment, very important in your complete marketing mix. So let's move on then to the next P, which is promotion. And so what promotion is covering off is, what are the things that you are doing to promote your practice? And I think it's important to note that there's a difference sometimes, not all the time, but there's a difference in terms of what you would be doing for promotion between marketing to existing customers and marketing to prospective customers, again, or patients. I'm going to obviously use those words interchangeably, but you know, not everybody is looking for new patients. If that's your situation, that's great. It's a nice luxury to have. But what you might do from a promotional or from a promotional point of view could be different than what you're trying to do if you're actually building a practice or trying to replace existing patients with new ones. So that it's important to make that distinction. So what are the different ways that you could be promoting your practice? This is not an exhaustive list. And this list doesn't suggest that you should be doing everything. These are all the possibilities. You're going to look at, you know, promotion within the context of everything else, right? All these other factors coming together and helping you reach your target market. You're going to think about these tools that are available to you from a promotional point of view and make an evaluation of whether you feel that they are going to work for you in achieving your overall marketing objectives. And so these are all the possibilities, once again, and what you would do might be a little bit different depending on whether you're looking for new patients or whether you're trying to do more internal marketing. And we'll touch on that maybe just a little bit in a sec. So one of the things, though, that I think really everybody should be focused on, and it's very, you know, current state in terms of marketing, is to be aware of search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO. I don't profess to be any kind of a specialist in this. There's all kinds of people offering SEO services out there, but dentures are B2C, meaning your business to consumer. And so marketing business to consumer is really a very different animal, for example, than marketing business to business. So Dent Plus, we're B2B. We market to denturists and dental laboratories. But if we were marketing to consumers, it'd be a whole different thing. So, and search engine optimization is very important when it comes to B2C activities, business to consumer. And so one of the things that I think you can consider, and what I suggest you do is wherever you are, go into Google, because that's really the default search engine. Go into Google and just type in denturist and see what comes up in your area, or type in denturist, the area you're in, and play around with different searches and see what comes up. And so one of the options you have as a denturist, because I think this is, if someone was going to ask me today and say, hey, I've got a new practice and we're really trying to build our practice and get new patients in, what's the most important thing that we do? I would say the most important thing you do right now is you start focusing on SEO. And so the first level of SEO is looking at taking out Google Ads, which is essentially anything that comes back sponsored. Any sponsored return is something, obviously, a Google ad. So this particular practice is paying to have their presence come up when it, and this is an actual search that I did for where I'm located, and I just typed in Denturists. So that's the first level that you can do is Google Ads. There's also, of course, what's called organic. So if you do a search, I typed in Denturist Toronto, and this is what came back. And this is an organic. There's no paid ad that came back, but these were the practices that came back, or what came back when I did the search for Denturist Toronto, again, from where I'm located. So the way this works generally, again, I'm not a specialist, but the way this works is the organic stuff, your ranking organically is related to what Google calls how googly your website is. And so this is where it's very important for a specialist to help make sure that your website, and by the way, you should have a website if you're looking for new patients, how your website is structured so that when the algorithms go out and scour the internet and rank websites and look for keywords, that your site is primed to have to come up organically as much as possible. And I was speaking with a denturist, a young denturist, at least in my eyes anyway, a few weeks ago, and asking them, what is the how have you built your practice? And I would, my sort of incorrect bias, I guess, was that, well, a lot of patients are elderly, they're not really internet based and so on. And that person made a comment saying, well, in their experience, a lot of the search for dentures is actually done by kids of the more elderly patients. Again, that's maybe somewhat a generalization, and I know there's going to be different situations. My mom is 85 years old, and she's a wizard on the internet, but as a bias, older patients are maybe less savvy and less internet based. But guess what? Their kids are very internet based, and they're could be looking for a denturist, and you want to be coming up when they are doing that search, because they're definitely going to be looking on their phones or their laptops or their tablets. So that's organic. And the other thing that you really want to be on when it comes to web-based stuff is you want to make sure that you're working on Google reviews. So this is just a clip shot of a search that I did for this implant clinic in British Columbia. And I just took a little screenshot here of their Google reviews. And again, if you're in the market for new patients, you really want to be working on this. And so really, if you take this here, click on that Google reviews, this is what pops up. And this is just a screenshot again, but these are all the different reviews. And believe me, people read reviews. I mean, we all read reviews now when it comes to evaluating products and services. And guess what? You are a product and a service. And when people are evaluating you, they want to read reviews. So you've got to get the reviews going. There's ways to go about it, but again, this is not a live button here. But you would, I encourage you to find ways to help your patients create reviews for you. It's very, very important. It's a very powerful tool. All right, so let's drill down a little bit, because there's the P of promotion is a very broad concept. What are the things that you can do to promote your business? But maybe some ideas of things that you can do, you could offer as promotions in your business. So if we have, for example, more of an internal mindset, this might be a little bit more applicable, right? But it does. So once you have a patient in the practice, what you're doing could be different than obviously what you would do to get them into the practice. So, you know, and again, in no particular order, and there's no limit to the creativity other than whatever regulatory or, you know, practice limitation, scope of practice, and so on, and things you can and can't do based on your rules and regulations in your particular province. But are you thinking of offers and promotions on a regular basis? I think one of the things that every patient practice has, whether you're clinical, if you're clinical, whether you're a denturist or a dentist, is you need to be, you want your patients back in the practice on a regular basis. And so how are you going about doing that, getting your patients back in on a regular basis? Once again, the subject of, you know, you could do we could have a very detailed conversation about this, but there's different ways that you can go about doing it, whether it's possibly free examinations if you're allowed to. Sometimes you might want to offer certain services or products, but have that as time limited to help drive decision making for today. You might want to offer upgraded services. So a little bit of the, do you want fries with that burger type of promotions, where if you offer a product in the practice, there's maybe a potential for an add-on to that product, and you would have some sort of promotion for that add-on, a way to generate some extra revenue for the practice. So there's a bunch of different things there, but in terms of promotions, think about what promotions you might want to offer as part of your overall marketing mix. So not necessarily for everybody, but one of the ways that you can certainly build your practice is by working with dentists. As we know, not all dentists either like to do removable work, or, you know, are particularly good at it, and sometimes, you know, they don't go together. But ideally, and that's a little bit more delicate, but it's obvious that there's a way to build your practice through referrals from dentists. So think about if you're trying to build relationships with dentists, then are you hanging out where the dentists are hanging out? What are you doing to make sure that you're interfacing and meeting dentists in your area that might be a referral source for you? That could be through participating in continuing education programs. Like, you might be attending certain conferences, maybe doing it together. There's a bunch of different ways, but again, think about that. That might fit very well for you, is think about hanging out with where the dentists are hanging out. All right, so let's talk a little bit about budget and promotions. You know, when we talk about promotion, we're talking about spending some dollars. And, you know, the question, the legitimate question would be, well, how much should I spend on marketing and promotion? And, you know, unfortunately, the answer often is not particularly clear. There's not really any clear, you know, rule of thumb that's out there. In very large organizations, they might apply certain rules of thumb that would say we spend 3% or 4% or 5% of our total revenues on marketing activities. But that tends to be, you know, in very structured environments. So, you know, there's kind of two ways to go about it. One is in this very structured way where it's very mechanical and you say, we're going to spend X% and that's Y dollars. And we're going to then have a very specific marketing plan, break that Y dollars down into all these different categories and measure and so on and so forth. Very few people will do this. This is really not the way that most people will work. If it's the way that you want to work, great. If that's how you're inclined to do it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But most people won't. And you don't need to, if you're asking me, you know, what's the way that most people decide on what their marketing budget is going to be? It's a little bit, you know, or a lot just based on gut feeling and, you know, just what feels right. So, you know, I mean, I think the good news is that there's a number of things that you can do that are very low cost to no cost. So, you know, setting up a website, like a properly functioning, up-to-date, googly website is not particularly expensive, but very important. If you're inclined for Google ads, they are not overly expensive either. It's relatively, you know, inexpensive to do it. You know, you don't have to spend a ton of money in order to market. And so, you know, one of the things that you want to think about is it's okay to start small and build over time. And but just make sure you start, you know, that you are earmarking some dollars to certain marketing activities and to help drive whatever it is that you're trying to drive for your practice. Just one of the things about spending money on marketing, though, is that it hasn't changed. You can see that John Wanamaker lived a long time ago. And, you know, today, a lot of people feel exactly the same way. You know, you're not really quite sure how well your expenditures, what the return is going to be. And so, unfortunately, we just kind of have to live with that to a large degree. Again, a whole other conversation. We could, you know, branch off into a deep conversation about how to measure return on marketing returns and all that. But obviously not within the scope of today's conversation based on time. All right, so let's move on to the next P, which is people. So, and probably one of the most overlooked part of the marketing mix, something that doesn't really come naturally when you think about marketing. Well, you know, what is that people have to do with marketing? Well, you know, people have a lot to do with marketing because people are, you know, who make your marketing plan happen. They're the ones who help you to reach your target market. So just going to take a look. Okay, Tori's just saying if you have questions, send them now. All right, so here's the questions you know that to ask is, have you hired the right people? And I'm throw that out there. There's probably a good chance because every business deals with this, where you question whether you've made a right hiring decision. regardless of what it is, whether it's a technical role or whether it's a patient-facing position. But you have to, I think, appreciate that if it's not a correct hire, it can be very damaging to your business. And you certainly want to think about making changes sooner rather than later. So you also want to thinking about training. Are you properly invested in training people to deliver the kind of patient experience that you want to deliver? Again, having the right people in the right seats is very important. And are you communicating your company values? So we go back, I'm going to assume that there's a very healthy percentage of people who are participating today that have not defined a mission, that have not documented their company values, that don't communicate those to the team on a consistent basis. And I'm saying that because that's really just the reality. It's not to be critical, but it's very common for this to happen. And so, but it can be problematic for any business not to be communicating and reinforcing values, company values. And so you really want to think about that, because everybody in your business is going to be a reflection of something, and hopefully they're a reflection of your values and not theirs, especially if they're in conflict with yours. And I think everybody's probably lived through that kind of a situation before, one way or another. Okay, so again, a couple of quotes that I like, but once again, to be mindful is that part of what you do as a business owner is you hire people. And bottom line is, it's a lot easier to hire nice people than it is to hire people and train them to be nice. So hire nice people. Okay, so let's talk about process. And this is another part of the marketing mix that's really important. People, I think, often don't think about this within the context of marketing, but it really is part of the marketing mix. So once again, we are looking at all these 7 elements within this framework. And they all intersect and work together to help you reach your target market. And process, or process, depending on where you live, is really important. And so let's take a look at that. What does that mean exactly? What could it mean for a Denturists practice? And ultimately, this is about managing your customer patient experience. So what is your onboarding process? It could be something as simple as that. What do you do when you have a new patient come into the practice? Is there some very clear flows that the patient experiences to help maximize their integration into the practice? How do you manage patient exams? What are your follow-up processes? How do you manage recall processes? And then we can get into fabrication processes, which is a whole other, the two minds of a denturist practice. As we all know, there is the clinical side, which is the patient side. And then there's quite frankly, it's the manufacturing side, wherever that happens to be in your practice, the lab, or whatever you want to call it, the place where you make stuff. And what are the processes there? Are they designed? Are they to support the patient experience? Are you able to make stuff on time to meet the patient appointments? Anyhow, there's a bunch of different things that are related around process that are really important to consider as part of your overall marketing mix, because process is part of the marketing mix. And if your processes are not working as well as they could or should, this is going to affect your overall patient experience, and it's obviously can be negative if it's not working correctly. So think about process. And just to come back to this, it's something that we see repeatedly in any kind of work environment that involves more than one person, is that sometimes people are just not in the right job. And sometimes people would be way better off if they were doing something different in the same environment. And so if you see that you have somebody who is not in the right spot in your business, is there another place for them in the business? And you want to make sure that whoever's doing what they're doing in your full process of your practice is people are in the position that best suits them. And you know, I can dig a little deeper and, you know, suggest that maybe that's something you want to think about for yourself as a denturist as well. I find it really fascinating that because it's very kind of unique in a lot of ways, that this actually, that it is the way it is for denturists by and large anyway. There's always exceptions, but the fact that you as a denturist, you have a clinical role, so you're patient facing, and at the same time, many of you are also technicians, meaning you are involved in the fabrication process. Some of you more than others, but this is a very unique situation. And there are two very different kinds of mindsets. You know, what it takes to be good with patients is a completely different skill set than what it takes to be good at actually fabricating something. And so, you know, I suspect that there's times where some of you say, you know, I really like doing A versus B or B versus A. And so are you in the right process? You as either as an employee of a practice or the owner of the practice, what are you best at? What are you most comfortable with? Do you really like the patient side the best? Then, you know, try to position yourself to be doing that. Do you actually, in the end of the day, really like making stuff a lot more than you like dealing with patients? Then if that's the case, do something about it, because if there's a conflict going on there, that's not a great place to be for a variety of reasons. All right, so we're just coming more towards the end of the presentation here. And the point I want to make with this is that in you're looking at the marketing mix, it's really a cycle. So the first part is that you're going to be setting your marketing objectives, and those objectives are going to be all come together from an evaluation of those 7 P's, those 7 P's of the marketing mix, which will have started originally from even your self-examination of defining your mission and values. And even if you don't do it formally, at least there's some informal thought around that. Deciding, you know, where do I want to go? What kind of practice do I want to have? And then deciding who's my target market. You set your objectives from there. You then execute whatever the plan is. Then you start measuring the results, and you reevaluate, and you adjust from there and set new marketing objectives, and so on and so forth. So understand that all of this is working in a cycle. It's not one and done. It's not static. It's something that you want to be starting and modifying continuously in order to perfect it and getting it working as best as possible for your practice. So by way of summary, you know, what we've looked at today is this notion that you want to start with getting as best as possible understanding of who you are, what you want to do, defining a mission based on that, and then going ahead and working on the marketing mix, examining those 7 variables that are part of the marketing mix, creating the plan, and assessing and adjusting as necessary as you go through the cycle over and over again. All right, any questions?
I think there's, oh, here we go. Joe de la Marina is coming in. Hi, Dom. What is your opinion on patients' perception of providers' proficiency and or mastery of the craft of denture making? Where is this on your ranking?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting question because from, you know, this is like obviously any answer that I give, you know, is I always just qualify and say obviously my opinion and strictly my opinion, and it's from somewhat the outside looking in. You know, I used to say, you know, I'm not a denturist, you know, I just play one on television kind of thing, but so I've not lived day to day with you know, with the intensity of a practice, but I think that on the one hand, you can, as I talked about earlier about expertise and are you promoting yourself as an expert? I think that's something that can be valuable. By the same token, and again, this is coming down to differentiation, right? Is it even important? But I think it generally is, but you can make that evaluation. Is it important that the patient perceive that in the first place, right? So Joey, your question is, you know, what's my opinion about the patient's perception of person? Well, you know, I think some people are gonna, their perception is gonna be that it's important. Other people, maybe not so much, you know? So it's like, is a denture a denture a denture? No. But how do you, and I think that's generally true, but do people care or not care? I think some people will, some people won't. But part of that is going to be up to you in terms of how you're communicating that message. And so, oh, wow. My long rambling answer to the question is that I think a lot of it has to do with.
I mean, this is open, Dom. This will be open to a long discussion. Okay?
Yeah.
But I think you've answered it. And all your topics need more discussion. And I think that's why they're not getting many questions. But I'm going to try this one over here. Joey, really, you know, Joe, it's going to be a marketing of the individual. And the marketing is to be congruent. And I'll tell you what I mean, okay? Let's say somebody says they're great. And I've done a little bit of marketing for an individual who's an investor and wanted to promote, you know, the denture practice that he bought. And I drove by and I was embarrassed. Just driving by, I said, holy God, how would anybody go? You guys are clinicians. How would anybody, and there's a name outside, how would anybody step into that garbage? You know, it looks dirty, filthy. I've gone to some practices where they're beautiful, they're clean, and they're clinical. But I've also gone to another denturist practice, okay, where the individual had a mop at the front. You know how you come in these older buildings and there's a little reception area. You walk in that area, there was a mop. It was in the winter, but you know, there's a mop and a bucket. So this is not congruent at all. And I think it dovetails with what Dominic was saying. Okay, like, I mean, even if you have the best flyer in the world, and then they come in and they see a mop there, or do you have a flyers full of spelling mistakes? You know, so going back to Joe, yeah, would I care? Yes. If I would go there, I would like to look at the flyers. I would like to see what education the individual has, and you know, like, I mean, do they have any testimonials? And then from this material, I would judge, you know, like the mastery of the craft of the denture making, you know, because or else you don't know. And some people, you know, older people would just go in and say, well, I needed this go, I don't drive, blah, blah, blah. And then they realize that maybe they have the wrong person. What other courses have they taken since they graduated? You know, those are the things that I would look, Joe. I don't know if it's answering your question, but, you know, it's very difficult for a layman, like, I mean, from my grandmother, okay, or my mother, to rank a denturist. They don't know. And a lot of the time for my mother, if the denturist spoke Italian, it was a done deal. You know what I mean? The guy could be a donkey. The guy could not haven't taken another course in 50 years, and all the digital things have passed him by. But as soon as the guy spoke Italian, she would go in. So they're not qualified to judge the proficiency of the mastery. I think that's it. You know,
Well,
from my point of view. Sorry.
Yeah. So, well, so a couple of things that are, I think number one, I mean, I've been into a lot of many dentures practices across the country. And, you know, just coming to the sort of like the curb appeal thing, I think by and large, everybody does pretty well. You know, there's a few exceptions, you know, but we can always find those. I don't think it's an issue, but I think so. Yeah, I just give it some more thought. And Joey's made a comment here. Simply, it's part of the package, and so simply, it's part of the package. In summary, I guess it can be, right. It's up to you, right. If you want to put a focus on like the efficiency and expertise and the craft around what's involved in making a denture and providing, you know, clinical care to patients, and that's what your target market, you feel your target market will respond to, then that's all good. So it's really just about alignment, right? Is what you're doing aligning with the target market that you're after, and are they responding to it? So I don't. Yeah.
Sorry, you touched on so many important issues, you know, but one thing maybe the thing that it makes it difficult for denturists, because they're gifted clinicians, you know, like they're clinicians, is that they work within a small group, you know, and then you're like, I mean, it's difficult to hire somebody that would just do the marketing for them. So it's a thing that creates a problem. And maybe, you know, like maybe these companies with all these academies they're creating can help. But one thing, you know, like to put it all together on what you had said, Dom, is that, you know, like, I mean, it has to be a consistent effort. Marketing is a consistent effort. Marketing is not, oh my God, this month I only have 2 new patients. I gotta do 1 mailing, or I gotta go to church this week and put a business card in the church newsletter, which I've done before, and it works sometimes, you know. So, you know, but this is the key. It has to be consistent all the time, you know. So that it is a tricky situation, really. But you've covered everything, and I think, you know, people should use your template and think of themselves, you know, even and their staff, to look over and discuss and say, what could we do here? How can we improve that? And so on and so forth, because it is important. Somebody else, the people that are better equipped to do the marketing, or if those larger company DSOs begin to accumulate dental, Denturists practices, they're gonna have the bucks, I'm telling you, and they will promote, you know, like, and then they will take the business away from the little guy because of the marketing. So it's important. I think it's an issue that we should revisit again. I think Joe Della Marina made a good question, you know, and and it is, you know, now Joy said it correctly. Now it was, thank you for scratching the surface. Indeed, yes, you know, but unless you start thinking, you will stay at the surface. So Dom, I would like to thank you, like very much. I would like to have a copy of this thing, okay? So I can see what areas I would like you to expand on as we move on. So I would like to thank all the speakers, Dominic Babinski and them Plus, you know, for spending their time and providing the research that they share with us. Swiss NF and Mark Chan and Gabriele from Italy, and of course Julian and Alex Chabachevitch and UDS, Unique Dental Supplies. These are the companies that are willing to invest in your future. These are the companies that you should support, you know, like whenever you can. Somebody else texted me and said, what are those dates for the exocad? I'll repeat them. I don't think I had the dates before, but I will say them now. There's a beginner course, again, September 8th and 9th. There's the intermediate, September 22nd and 23rd. And then there is the advanced, October 13 and 15. So it's in the fall. We're completing the first session right now, you know, like today and tomorrow. We did a YesOD advance, and we have about, I think we have 18, 19 people that have signed up. also some dentists I've signed up to learn on the design mechanism. So anyways, the weather is nice. I wish you a great weekend. If you have any questions for any of the speakers, please reach out to Dominic, okay, because like I said, these are open to discussions. Reach out to Dominic, to Mark Chan, or to Alex at UDS. And thank you to you too, Carlos Onon. Thank you for your support, and thank you to all you guys for participating. And we'll talk to you soon, guys. Ciao. Have a good weekend. Have they started, Bahar?